Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, episode 446. Apparently, Miami traffic was pretty bad, and we have to get off of this AOL net zero internet that we're using here. Right? Once we get paid, we start making money. We got to get off of net zero. Yeah. Because this internet stuff from the 90s and 2000s is not working. It was Tom's idea. Tom thought it was a good idea to use old school internet.
Tom.
But we eventually we're going to upgrade, guys. Eventually, we're going to go to AOL, and maybe one day we'll use modern day technology. But we're here. We're with you. And there's a lot of things to talk about.
Version 10.
Elon Musk denied. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. Reports of the $45 million pledge to Trump says he doesn't subscribe to cult of personality. Tesla shares drop at the same time as revenue misses estimates and price cuts dent profit. Tesla share falls 12% after earnings miss. And then at the same time, Elon Musk is seen at the Benjamin Netanyahu Capitol speech. He was invited by Benjamin Netanyahu. It was interesting who he sat next to. Was there's some commentary on that Adams got. We'll cover that here in a minute as well. Kamala, lots of things coming up about Kamala right now. How she manages her money, index funds, and a 2.625% mortgage. Got to give her credit. She's trying to save that money, which is good. And she earns $231 million in donations on first day. And what would a Kamala Harris presidency mean for the economy? And by the way, God forbid you say anything about not liking her. According to some CNN experts, you're a racist. If you say anything bad about her, you got to be careful with that. Joy Reid says black people will look weird if they don't back Harris. And then them say Republicans who call Harris a DEI candidate actually mean the N-word. What? Kind of weird, but it is what it is. We'll definitely cover this stuff here today. Trump gunman researched JFK assassination a week before the shooting. Keith Olbermann tells MLB to confiscate the St. Louis Cardinals franchise after accusing them of Trump-inspired celebration. I mean, Keith, the more he opens his mouth, the more he sounds like a dictator. Like he just sounds weird. Anyways, Kim Cheadle was asked two questions. On one end, she was asked, have you used any other communication apps to communicate with anybody in Secret Service or the government? In one questioning, she said yes, but to Lauren Boebert, she said no. So what is it? Some people are saying that's right there a cause for... Anyways, we'll get into that. There's very interesting things coming up from there. Former Iranian President Ahmadinejad survives assassination attempt. We'll talk about that. Economy, almost 4 in 10 Americans worry about paying bills and numbers surpassing Great Recession era. High rents cause evictions to spike by 35% in pandemic boom towns. Mr. B's trans co-host apologizes for messaging 13-year-old child. What else we got here? Majority of people now say it's impossible to achieve the American dream. There's a couple other stories about the U.S. stocks sink after big tech earnings disappoint, and the hottest job market in a generation is over. And, we have to talk about the Biden addressing the nation, Oval Office, which he did yesterday. Tom has some thoughts. I don't even know if he believes it's real or not. Based on what some of the things Tom was saying, he'll break down his thoughts on it. But before we get right into the podcast, a couple things I do want to tell you is, for many of you today, with whatever you're going through, whether you're running a business, we ran a poll. We have a big audience that is a business owner. Matter of fact, out of the nearly 20,000 people that registered for the AI webinar that's coming up next Tuesday, over 1,000 of you that registered run a business doing between $10 to $100 million of top line revenue. This thing is getting packed right now, which, again, I would highly recommend you get registered for this. It's going to be next Tuesday at 6 p.m. with a white paper I'm going to give you that you'll be able to use internally for yourself and your friends, your peers, your coworkers. That'll happen next Tuesday. If you haven't already registered, make sure you do so. And then the other thing I want to tell you guys with Minnect, I was in New York yesterday. We got back late last night. We had a meeting in New York with Goldman Sachs, with many different people there. We had great conversations with the top brass at Goldman. And Minnect, the conversation with Minnect, the contest we announced with Minnect, guys, is a contest that's very unique. A lot of you who have big plans of 2024 where you want to do second half of the year, this contest that was announced, effective July 1st, goes till August 31st. The winners of this contest will have a chance to meet Dwayne Johnson and also be invited to be on stage, recognized in front of nearly 10,000 people, where people are going to see you on stage, 10,000 people, your face with your Minnect handle for people to be close to you. This is an opportunity for you to network with thousands of people, of them directly knowing who you are. And the way to compete for this is either you're an expert and people ask you questions, or either you compete as a user asking others questions. Right now, in the lightweight category, the leader right now is Bryce Mitchell, UFC fighter. Number 2 is Caleb Altmaier, which Caleb is a pastor, I believe, out of Washington or Portland's got a big mission. He buys strip clubs and builds it into facilities to create rehabs for dancers, which is very interesting. What he's doing. For trafficking, yes. And then you have Jose Alvarenga, who is third place for lightweight. Rob, if you can zoom in a little bit. Middleweight, we have right now, as the ranking goes, Samuel Riley, then we have Matten Hakar, and then we have Aaron Borgman at third place. Heavyweight, we have Dennis Panev, then is Candace Owens, then Dr. Calvin Ing. Home team, Vinny crushing it as usual. And then you have new users, signups. Mark Cook, first place, then it's Ronald Silsky, and then Russell Morgan and existing users, Shaw, Matthew, user 0, have asked the most questions. If you haven't yet started participating in this, we had a client reach out to me the other day, ended up being a $100 million client business for somebody I refer to. There are people asking questions about homeschooling, parenting, kids, marriage, finance, preparing for an interview, many business questions, day-to-day questions, political questions. When in the election season, have you ever seen a season where you can go ask some of the biggest influencers on politics, what do you think about it, Cuomo? What do you think about it, Candace? What do you think about it, Tulsi? And they respond back to you. Never in the history of America have we had a time like this that you can actually be able to communicate with some of the biggest influencers on the left, right, and the center and says, what are your thoughts on this? To be able to make better decisions for your family. The QR code at the top is right there. Download the QR code. And if you got any questions here for the folks on the panel, Rob, if you want to pull up the Minnect handle for the 4 folks we have here, any one of these, you can ask me, Vinny, Adam, or Tom any questions that you have. Having said that, let's get right into the podcast. Okay. So I'm going to start off with economy because there's a lot of stuff that's going on with economy right now. Tom, I want to kind of start off with you on almost 4 in 10 Americans worry about paying bills and numbers surpassing Great Recession era. 4 in 10 worry about paying bills at the levels of pre-recession era. So what does this mean? And how many people are going through this today? Let me read this to you. 40% of American adults worry about paying their bills, with one resident, Angela Russell, noting the grocery store is just outrageous right now. Everything has gone up, clothing, my insurance. This concerns suppresses levels seen during the 2008 Great Recession, where 37% were worried. We're talking about 16 years ago, Tom. Total household debt in the U.S. reached a record $17.69 trillion in early 2024, a 1.1% increase from the previous quarter. Greg McBride, chief financial analyst at Bankrate, emphasized that moderating inflation doesn't mean prices are coming down. They just aren't going up as fast. More than a quarter of Americans have resorted to skipping meals due to high grocery costs, with 80% feeling a notable increase in prices. Many are spending 60% of their monthly income on essential expenses, indicating significant financial pressure despite the growing economy and low unemployment rates. Tom.
So there's 2 things going on here, and we have been talking about it, and we've been encouraging people, hey, look, you know what, a side hustle, living conservatively, that's kind of the tools you have to fight against this. But it is not surprising that now the surveys are coming out. Everybody was ignoring it when we were talking about it, and the news would be out there. Wall Street Journal talked about it, Barron's talked about it, that there is 1.1 to 1.2 trillion in credit card, meaning there's people have less space on their credit card to buy something for an emergency because they're adding to the credit card every month on groceries and things. Oh my gosh, if you're paying your power bill, your cable bill, and groceries on a credit card because you can't pay it at the end of the month, oh my gosh, no wonder that more than a quarter of Americans are saying, hey, we're going to skip a meal. We're not going to go out to dinner, whatever it is.
Cereal.
So yeah. And then the whatever it was, General Mills CEO, whoever that guy was, that said, hey, cereal for dinner. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, ramen noodles, just like we're all in college again. So number one, the Biden economy is just as bad, and as we've been saying it, the cumulative inflation of 30% is now showing up as people are screaming, and the higher rents thanks to inflation are causing people to get evicted. Right now, the middle class is in the middle of a freaking apocalypse, and the apocalypse is the Biden economy. And we're going to talk about it later today, but it really pisses me off that right now with the presumptive Harris candidacy, they're talking about, everybody talks about Harris as not being fair and everything. I'll tell you what I want to talk about is very fair. I want to talk about her economic record. I want to talk about what she did in California. I want to talk about what she has for Americans here, because people are hurting and they need freaking help.
Let's stay on this. High rents cause evictions to spike by 35% in pandemic boom towns. Have you guys ever experienced being evicted? Have you ever experienced being evicted?
It's humiliating. It's terrible.
It's one, humiliating, and not only humiliating. Imagine you're married. You have to go to your wife and say, can't afford to pay for it. Imagine you're going back to your family saying, hey, man, I can't pay for it. Can I come back and move back with the family or friends or a couch? Now, people go through different financial difficulties, but these numbers here, just to kind of give you an idea, eviction and pandemic boom towns have surged by 35% compared to pre-pandemic levels, driven by high rents as a result of pandemic-induced migration to the Sun Belt. Cities like Nashville, Fort Worth, Jacksonville have experienced evictions increases in 31%, 25%, and 14% respectively. The rent spikes were fueled by the influx of new residents during the pandemic, which outpaced the earning of local residents, according to Realtor.com. Rent increases peaked at 17% year over year in early 2022, particularly in Sunbelt cities. Although the rental market is still challenging for lower income renters, recent trends show a decrease in rent prices in Sunbelt. Austin, Texas saw the largest drop at 6.6% in April, while Nashville and Jacksonville reported declines of 5.9% and 5.6%. Adam, thoughts on this?
Look, times are tough, man. We've seen since we started the podcast 2020, the stimulus checks that went out during COVID, the money printing that went out during COVID. I think at one point it was 40% of all the money that was ever printed was done in 2020. Now I'm seeing data that it's as much as 80% has been printed since 2020. Whatever the number is, there's been a shocking amount of money printed. And what does that lead to? That's led to inflation. Now, if you want to basically put America in a bubble versus the rest of the world, America is performing wonderfully compared to the rest of the world. But we have high standards here. And it's not exactly comparing America to the rest of the world. It's comparing America to where are you better off now or are you better off 4 years ago? And as James Carville famously said, it's the economy, stupid. There's a difference between the numbers and the data versus how people feel. And people just don't feel that America is trending in the right direction. And you can't tell them to feel a certain way. You actually have to show them. So here's what I could tell you about personally. I've never been richer. PBD, you've probably never been richer. Tom, Vinny, life's good if you're actually doing good things. You know, it's the K-shaped economy. The rich are getting richer and the poor will always be poor. There's a difference between poor and broke. Poor is like, I literally make no money. I have nothing going on. I'm just poor. I'm desolate. Life's not good. But broke is a different thing. Broke is you're working, you're hustling, you're trying, but you just can't get ahead. And I feel like the middle class is getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and they just can't figure out how to get ahead. That's why they said there's a difference between Wall Street and Main Street. If you're looking at Wall Street these days, the market's at all-time highs. It's been over 40,000. The S&P, I know NASDAQ took a hit. Bitcoin, everything that's going on there. But here's ultimately my point, because it's going to come down to an election year. I'm seeing the messaging that's going out from the Trump campaign. I'm seeing the messaging that's going out with Kamala campaign. Everything's going out there. If abortion is your number one issue, vote Democrat. If the economy is your number one issue, vote Republican. If the border is your number two issue, vote Trump. If climate change is your number two issue, vote Democrat. If safety and security of America is your number three issue, vote Trump. If DEI and making sure that you're checking all the boxes is your number three issue, vote Kamala Harris. I mean, it's pretty simple at this point. Things have changed significantly, and people are basically saying, let's get this ship headed in the right direction.
But Pat, because obviously nobody knows me. Nobody looks at me and goes, "Oh, Vinny's the money guy. I'm the funny guy, right?" But from a pattern perspective,
you're making more money than you've ever made before.
In my life. Oh, but I'm saying now I'm becoming that person. So I'm just thinking about of trends, PBD. So in 2001, the market, Adam, you mentioned, was at an all-time high, right, Pat? 2007, and then it all crashed, right? So now you said we're at an all-time high. That's a pattern that people should be looking at, right? The S&P keeps going up. Billionaires like Zuckerberg, Buffett, Bessel, they're selling their stocks. Politicians are selling more. 1 in 3 households, like you guys said, are struggling to live, to cover expenses. Credit cards, all-time high. Commercial real estate's collapsing. Small banks are going bankrupt. Record CEOs stepping down. How long do you guys think that this is going to last until another one of those crashes is going to happen? Because to me, because we said it with this administration, it feels like they're just hanging on so it doesn't happen under this regime.
Right. So a couple things I want to give you guys feedback, because sometimes when you hear some of these stories, like I remember one time, I'm at a meeting. And at this meeting, the guy says, can you go on a 60-day diet from the news? It's a 60-day diet from the news. Can you go on a 60-day diet from the news and radio? I said, okay, I'll try it out. That's the last time I ever listened to the radio. I've never listened to the radio since 2003, right? Can you go on a 60-day diet from listening to all the scary stuff that's going on and just kind of listening to some people that may be reasonable and they're talking across the board and it's optimistic about the future looking bright versus, oh my God, it's the end of the world coming here. Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, see what happens to you. I had a friend of mine, a relative of mine, I told her, I said, listen, for whatever reason, you watch and follow every single one of the conspiracy theories that are out there. You follow all of them. Can I tell you something? What? You look miserable. Says, what do you mean? I said, I'm being serious with you. You look miserable. You look so unhappy. But what if it's true? And what if it's true? And what if it's this? And what if it's that? And what if it's that? I said, okay, no problem. Follow the news. Stay paranoid. But be optimistic. But there is a balance of being so caught up in what's going on that you're just not a good husband. You're not a good friend. You're not a good brother. You're not a good wife. You're not a good employee. You're not a good leader. You are so on the edge because it's like everybody's coming after you, right? It's tough to be around someone like that. I'll give you the example here on some things in an economy like this for some of you that are watching and saying, Pat, I'm feeling exactly what you guys are talking about. No problem. When Vinny first came here, he came 2 years ago, okay? Comedy market in LA shut down, okay? It's like it was nothing going on. You had to all this mask stuff, especially if you're even having some positions that are slightly conservative like Vinny does, right? He comes here. A year later, he chooses to stop drinking. He stops drinking, I think, May of last year, 2023. May 31st of last year. So what's the date?
Exactly.
May 31st of last year, he stops drinking, right? So that's now how many? Almost 14 months he stops drinking. Starts going to church. All of a sudden, I see him at church. Never misses church. Starts making decisions on different ways he lives his life. Income starts changing. He starts inspiring other people. Other people are being attracted to him. He starts making money. So if you're watching this, and yesterday, one of the ladies said such a powerful thing. One of the main ladies, I won't say her name, she manages $1 trillion of Goldman Sachs' money. Wow. I mean, she's the brass, heavy. I think she's a report or two away from David Solomon. And we had a good meeting with David Solomon yesterday, actually a very good meeting with him as well, just to see what his thoughts were. I asked her, I said, let me ask you a question. When families are creating wealth, what mistake do they make? And it was so interesting listening to what she said. Tom, I don't know if you remember her comments. She said, here's what happens. So sometimes when you first come to money, people will sit there and they'll say, yeah, I want to go growth. And I want to put my money in the stock market. And I'm good with this money being in growth for the next 20, 30 years. And you do, and then a massive crisis takes place. Then they choose to take their money out of the stock market because they're afraid. Then John turns around and says, during the pandemic, when the Dow went down to 18,000 from 36, whatever the number was, 2 of my clients took all their money out. Let me explain to you what happened during that time. You pretty much could have gone from $100 million to $50 million.
Yes. In
a span of 90 days. Yes or no, Tom?
Absolutely. That is what happened.
And check this out.
Yes.
On paper. But if you go from $100 to $50 million and you all of a sudden said, man, this is going to get worse. You take your 50 out. You know what happened 90 days later? It went back to $100 million. Right back.
But you just locked in your losses.
No, but do you understand what just happened, right? You just lost $50 million for panicking. So you asked me a question, Pat, I want to buy a place, a house.
Yep.
What did I tell you when you and I spoke about it?
You said, wait for, you said like.
No, I'm talking in Hamptons when you asked me, we're in the car, we're driving. You said, Pat, do I buy a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom condo house? What do I do?
Yeah. You said, well, think about, marriage, kid, if your mom wants to come, if people want to come. So I'm thinking 3 to 4 bedroom.
I said, within the next 5 years, if you're going to be living in this place for 5 to 10 years, go buy a place.
Yeah. And I said, I'm not going anywhere. So.
Okay. I said, in 5 years, what's the likelihood of you being married and having a kid?
Pretty positive.
Pretty positive, right? Okay. Then you need 3-4 bedrooms, right? To have that. So if you're thinking long term, you're fine. In this time, folks, no matter what you do, if you're part of a community that doesn't find a way to change yourself and improve yourself, and you get too caught up in blaming the economy, blaming Kamala, blaming Biden, blaming Trump, blaming everybody, the same thing's going to happen when the economy is good and the economy. That's a cyclical cycle. Do not fall for that trap at all. I'll read this next story to you and watch what this story is going to do to you feeling-wise. Just see how you react to this next story. You ready? Here we go. Let's go through this together. Majority of people now say it's impossible to achieve the American dream. Again, the headline, how do you feel right now? I agree. If you said, I agree, you just gave up and they win, right? Listen, majority believe American dream is unattainable. A Newsweek poll reveals that 54% of Americans think it's increasingly difficult to achieve middle-class status. Among millennials, 57 find the middle class unachievable, followed by 59% of Gen Xers, 48% of Gen Zs, and 51% of baby boomers. This perception is reinforced by who? Not an expert, by a TikTok user. Like Inc., who said, I cannot afford to live anywhere alone despite earning 3 times the federal minimum wage. Changing economic realities, the middle class in the U.S. have been shrinking, with Pew Research noticing a decline from 61% of households in 1971 to 51% in 2023. And Vivian, a former Wall Street Street employee known as Your Rich BFF on TikTok, highlighted that the traditional American dream is outdated, stating, we cannot use the same playbook our parents gave us to live life today. The shift toward lower-paying service jobs and automation has exacerbated this trend. Tom, your thoughts? I got a lot of thoughts on this, but I want to hear yours first.
So whenever I see American Dream, I always say to people, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I feel like I'm in an episode of The Princess Bride. That word doesn't mean what you think it means, inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
Right. So when I say American Dream, I say, what do you mean? What does that mean to you? What are you trying to achieve? Because if you automatically paint a wall in front of yourself and say, well, that's the American Dream, I can never get over the wall, that's a negative thinking. So the question is, what does that mean for you? What do you mean American Dream? What did you just talk about? Positive forward planning and optimism, you and Pat. Yep. You know what? I want to look forward and see maybe I find a 3-bedroom place to put myself in a preparation zone for being married and having a kid. That is a positive forward thought. But in the American Dream, well, I can't do the American Dream. Maybe it's, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do what my parents did, have 2 kids before they were 30 years old, me being one of them, right? Mm-hmm. And bought a house in the suburbs. Well, maybe you're not going to be able to do that. Why? The suburbs are different. The cities are different. They're being rebuilt. Housing is in a different place. So when I hear this, I say, what do you mean, what is the American Dream? It's the American Dream for you. So how do you improve yourself? How do you optimistically prepare forward? And yes, there are things like inflation that if you sit there like a frog boiled in a pot, you look around and go, oh my gosh, I can't afford this. That's very true. And you should proactively evaluate the leaders you vote for and vote for the people you think are going to make it better. Meanwhile, back to you, where do you go? So when I look at the American Dream, it's what are people defining as the American Dream? If it's living like your great-grandparents did, coming home from World War II, doing this, and this, or living like your parents did in the 70s, live in the suburbs and do this, and this. No, it's going to be different. It's a different generation. It's a different time in America. So I think you have to positively set up what is your own dream and what is your vision for your career and how to find side hustles and do things that put yourself in a better position. That's what I think about it. And the American Dream, I think a lot of times is an election year ploy to get people to think negative. Oh, you'll never be able to do what my grandparents did.
Very well put.
Tom. I'm sorry, Adam. I have so much thoughts on this.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. Well, I'll tell you, the old American Dream is dead. Straight up. But when one door closes, another door opens. The new American dream is as alive and as vibrant as ever. It just depends on what your definition of the American dream is. Back in the day, in the 80s, there used to be a phrase, and tell me if you're familiar with this, Tom, you probably remember this: "He who dies with the most toys wins." Remember that? Where you
it was a pop culture T-shirt. It was, it was a consumption mindset. It was a,
bingo, consumption mindset. You needed
conspicuous consumption, so people see what you've got.
Exactly. So you needed to have the house, you needed to have the cars, you needed the picket fence, you needed the 2.2 kids, you needed to have the dog. Everything needed. You worked at the same company for 40 years. There was no turnover. Everything was the quote unquote American dream. Well, that's changed. Especially for young people, the cost of living, the math don't math anymore. So everyone has the same big three expenses. I've said this before: housing, transportation, and food and beverage. If you just do what everyone has always done and just have your house, have your mortgage, have your car, have your car payment, go out, eat once a week, buy lunch, food and beverage, the math doesn't add up. You will be broke. So you have to do something differently. The whole name of these games today is having financial freedom. That's all it is. Whether you want to move, whether you want to work remote, whether you want to take a job elsewhere, whether you want to get married, whether you want to have kids, that's up to you. And then that's the money side of things. The other component of things is, what's the dynamic of relationships these days? I feel like there's a lot of confusion out there with men and women. Is the future female? Do girls run the world, or does the patriarchy run the world? Which one is it? I feel like there's a lot of men out there that are confused, especially young men, as what their role is in society. Back in the day, men got value from their brawn and their muscles and being a provider and being a protector. Most men are working in an office right now. You're not protecting shit. You don't necessarily have to provide anything. A lot of women are saying, I don't need no man. I got my own bag. Okay, good luck with that. Let me know how the Chelsea Handler lifestyle works out for you. So men are confused. And then women are confused because they're like, well, should I get married and have kids? Should I work till I'm 40 and become a millionaire? How does this work? Like the whole Harrison Butker speech that he gave in front of that college was very apropos of where we're at these days. On the day these women are graduating, he's like, hey, listen, a little hot tip for you. The guys don't really care about your job. Go ahead and have some kids. People are having less kids in America.
Where are you going?
I'm saying American dream has changed, and you need to define what the American dream is to you. Don't let that define what you think it should be.
Okay. Do you have anything to say?
No, I just remember, you remember George Carlin, what he said? Yeah. He said about the American dream, he said the reason they call it the American dream is because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yeah. And by the way, and I've listened to all of those jokes, and I've listened to all of these, shots that I can't do this and poor me and all this other stuff. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my kids, when kids talk like that. Adults shouldn't talk like that. My kids talk like that. You know what the sentence starts off with? What's the 2 words? What's the 3 words? Give me the 3 words.
Why can't I?
No, it's the 3 words that kids use. It's not fair. It's not fair. A grown man shouldn't use those words. Because what you're doing is you're giving the other person power. What you're indirectly saying is, I'm helpless. You're not. So for me, a part of this is, I'll give you the true side, that this is factual, but it's mathematical that it's true. And then the other side is that you're choosing to accept it. One of the biggest fights I ever had with my dad is, he'll remember this. My dad and I were sitting and we're talking about marriage. And he had married my mother twice, and he had divorced my mother twice. Let me say that one more time. I told this story the other day, yesterday in New York. They're like, I've never heard that before, to the chief, investment officer, Charmaine, right? The Persian lady, really very, very smart lady, very
Crazy
successful,
sharp.
by the way. Yeah.
Really sharp.
I said, yeah, my mother and my father got married, boom, 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 boom. So it's really, yeah. I said, so he would say, let me tell you, marriage is this, and marriage is that, and woman this, and woman. I'm like, listen, do you want grandkids? Of course I want grandkids. The way you're talking to me, you will never get grandkids from me. What are you talking about? Dude, you got 3 other siblings. You got 2 brothers, Johnny and Victor. I love them. And you got a sister, Ellen. Guess what? What? None of them gave me a cousin. They all live past their 60s. How come I don't have a cousin? Guys, I got 4 uncles and aunties. I got 1 cousin. How the hell is that possible? Did you guys hear what I just said? Mm-hmm. I got 4 uncles. I got 3 uncles and I got 1 auntie. My mom's got a brother. Had 1 kid. He's the only one that had a kid. I said, do you want me to give you grandkids or no? Then stop saying this kind of stuff. I don't want to hear this language. This language is constantly like you're discouraging me from wanting to take the risk of having a family. Do you know how hard marriage is? Oh my God, it's hard. You never hear me talk about how easy marriage is. When have you ever heard me say marriage is easy? It's not easy. Being a parent, is it easy? No. Oh my God, it's tough. 10 out of 10 times I do it all over again. With the hard, with the challenge, and with the sleepless nights, with all of it. It's not supposed to be easy. But I'm not going, oh my God, feel sorry for me because I'm married and I got kids and all this other stuff. That's the language of a child. And adults, we don't speak that way. By the way, all of us have. Do you know why we speak that way? Do you know why we speak that way? It's not fair. Why does the other guy get a promotion, not me? It's not fair. Why does the other guy get the right eyeballs and not me? It's not fair. Why is the other guy that get the nice, they share his YouTube channel on the cover of YouTube. How come they don't share our podcast? It's not fair. What do you mean? We all do it. Don't fall for that trap. I think we're being throttled. What's the word? Like our channel's
shadow banned.
We're being shadow banned and throttled. Then change the way you communicate. Maybe you're too. What's the word?
Extreme, or
you're too extreme, or maybe you're too
conspiratorial.
Yeah. Maybe you're too much. It's a different word I wanted to use. Like, that's like too exaggerating, too
hyperbolic.
No, it's a different word. It's you're too sensational. You're too sensational, bro. Maybe tone it down a little bit. And by the way, when I hear professional people speak, do you know how everybody speaks when I was at Goldman? Yeah, so on this floor, what we have is this. And let me share with you why we decided to put this thing on the 12th floor, on the 11th floor. On the 41st floor, we have this. And it's like, well, what do you think? Well, because, when you think about it, here's what's going on. And you're hearing these meetings. Mm-hmm. And you're hearing, how long have you been with the company? 41 years.
Wow.
How long have you been with the company? 25 years. How long the goal is to be here for this many years because this, that. What kind of money does that person make? Well, she makes around 5 to 7 million. She makes 5 to 7 million, yes. Good for her. What does she do? What is he doing? What is David Solomon's salary? $31 million. Go Google it. What kind of money he's got? What do you think the stock of Goldman's worth? What do you think these guys are doing? Oh, let's start, so these guys are this. But they probably brought down the level of emotionalness and they increased the score of reasonable, making better decisions, and ended up succeeding in their lives. You don't have to sit there and agree with them politically. They made good choices. So I'm going to wrap it up here for you guys to be thinking about this part. Do you know, since I got out of the Army, 21 years old, very interesting stat most people don't know about. Every year, since 21 years old, Vinny, every year, I've gone to 4 business conferences every year. Since 21 years old, 4 business conferences every year. Tony Robbins, Tom Hopkins, Inc. Conference. Every year, 4 business conferences every year. What did that do to me? You know what's the thing about every business conference you go to? What's going to be 30 to 50% of messaging? Stop making excuses. You can recreate yourself. Go read some business books. You can find a way to get better. You can choose to lead. And you're kind of like, dude, but you don't understand. My parents got through 2 divorces. Stop making excuses. I hate you. No problem. You're still going to go back to your life. Is it going to be good for you to keep hating me? Do something about your life. He's right. See, that's the thing that people have to choose. First business book I wrote, it was called 25 Laws for Doing the Impossible. It was 3 steps. Recreate yourself. Step number 1, it's 10 keys. Number 2, identify your cause. What's the cause you want to, what's the sword people say you want to?
Plant your flag.
Plant your flag. Yeah, what is your cause? I identify my cause. Boom. Last one. Go make history. And law number 25, make a bold move. What's a bold move? I'm going to move to such and such. I'm going to stop doing this. You going to stop doing that? I am. There's no way you could do that. Watch me. I went 17 months without sex at 24 years old. My friends are like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, don't invite me to clubs. I'm done. There's no way you can pull it off. You'll never pull it off. I did all the distractions, late night calls, arguments with girls and all this, calling Maria another name. It's like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I thought I was talking to my cousin. No, you're not talking to your cousin. You know how many times you screw up mistakes like that? You know how annoying that is? Get on the phone for 30 minutes while you're at work trying to explain to her why you messed up her name. You can't use autocorrect. Back in the days, Nextel didn't have autocorrect. So you have to, you really call me Maria, I'm sorry. Or you say, no, it's my cousin Maria. Introduce me to your cousin Maria. You don't have a Maria cousin. Now you have a problem. You're dealing with this, Vinny.
I've been there.
Life is hard, man.
You're out there trying to recruit for a Maria out there. Anybody know Maria?
Can you just act as my cousin? Yeah, cousin from which side? Uncle's side. I heard none of your uncles have a kid.
You just told me that nobody had...
You're a liar. You're screwed. You're screwed where you're at, right? This Maria person I've been looking for 25 years.
Although Adam would be a good Maria.
Well, there you go. Tom had to do that. He's been waiting to do this for a while. But you know what's the moral of the story? Here's all I'm saying to you. Get the stats. Rob, can you pull up compound interest if you invest $100,000 between 0.6, 12%? Can you just pull this up? Here's the most basic thing I show that, you look at this and you're like, oh, shit, that does kind of make sense. Pull up compound interest 6 and 12%, whatever. Put 6 and 12%. And go to images. This is how life works, folks, okay? Go right there to the second one. Actually, you know what? Let me see what the first one looks like. You had to zoom in a little bit. If it's that one, we'll use this one. No, not this one. Go to because I wanted to compare with others. Zoom in a little bit to see if shows. Yeah, so what I want is I wanted comparing the difference between 6% to 12%. Comparing is what I wanted to do. Just put the all the way to the right, top right. What is that one? The colors. Zoom in. Does it show interest rates? Compound interest? No. So did
Try
you
that middle one with the orange graph, Rob?
No, it's not the one. Okay, let me use this because this is the point to make here. Compare return 6% to 12%, $100,000. Okay, see if this comes up because the biggest factor when you see this, here's what you'll notice when you compare these. What you'll notice is after the first 12 years, you don't see a sudden change. It's the same amount of money. Okay, is this the one?
Well, there you go. It stacks it all right up. Move it over a little bit more.
Okay, look at that. Look at that right there. If you invest, what is it, $1,000 investment? At year 10, what difference do you notice between 2%, 4%, 6%, 7%, 8, 9? Zero. Mm-hmm. What do you notice at year 20?
Skyrockets when you...
What do you notice at year 30? You're not even in the same league.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not even in the same league. Here's why, folks. The reason for it is if I'm obsessed with improving myself and reading books at a pace of 36 a year, you read 2 books a year and you're consuming a bunch of bullshit content all year long, then I'm reading good books, you're reading romance novels, I'm around people that have big plans, you're not around people that have big plans, you're around gamblers and alcoholics and party guys and chasing skirts. You could be way ahead of me at 22 years old and you got the fanciest degree from USC and I got nothing. We're not in the same world by 32. By 42, we don't even know the same people. It's game over. It's a very different thing. If you think long term, the reason why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer is because of compound interest. They're making 12% on their money. You're making 1%. You can never compete with them. And the gap is going to get wider. The same with people that read and improve themselves. So don't fall for this trap of feel sorry for me. That's why I'm not winning. It's Biden's fault. It's Kamala's fault. It's all this stuff. Vote accordingly. Vote better. But at the same time, put the onus on you. Don't put the onus on somebody else because that means your dreams are not going to become a reality. Anyways, I just want to come. When I saw that story about the American dream, those were my thoughts. We can go to the next story now. Rob, if you want to pull up the, do you have the link of Elon Musk talking about the $45 million a month that he paid towards Trump? Do you have that clip? Okay, go for it and play this clip. So this is Elon Musk denies reported $45 million a month pledge to Trump, says he doesn't subscribe to cult of personality. Go for it, Rob.
The media is simply not true.
Okay.
I'm not donating $45 million a month to Trump.
Right.
Now, what I have done is I have created a PAC or super PAC, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Which is, I simply call it the America PAC.
You want to tell everybody who's listening what a PAC is, because people
it's a political action committee.
Yeah.
It's an organization. It's sort of a legal entity that can receive funding. That funding can then be used to help with political campaigns.
Yeah. Okay. And how does that differ from a direct donation? There are specific limits on direct donations to candidates, and the PAC system is a way of putting a political structure in place that sort of runs parallel with the political, with the formal political system.
Can we?
This is it. This is where it's a long clip, but he said it at the beginning. There's a shorter clip if you'd like. This is yesterday when he was on Capitol Hill, where he was asked about the reports from the Wall Street Journal regarding.
Play this clip. Yeah, play this clip.
Mr. Musk, are you still going to donate to Trump? Are you still donating $45 million? I'm sorry?
At no point did I say that I was donating $45 million a month to Trump. That was a fiction made up by the Wall Street Journal.
That was a fiction made up by the Wall Street Journal.
Wow. Well, he's drawing a line here. The line here he's drawing is, I'm creating a PAC that is going to support candidates and policy and things during the election that I want to support. That may include Donald Trump. But specifically, it is true that I guess he's not giving the money directly to WinRed or directly to the Trump campaign. That's what he's saying. However, he is putting that money per month, like most wealthy people or giant business owners that are putting their money into PACs to help the candidates that are going to help them if they're elected.
Isn't it weird though? Because we all remember, where were we when we heard that? Everybody was talking about it. Elon didn't come out directly and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So it only happened the day after Trump released a letter that President Mahmoud Abbas of Palestine, he showed the letter denouncing violence and basically sending condolences to Trump in the assassination attempt. And then he goes to Congress. It doesn't add up because everybody's been hearing this story forever, right, Pat? Were we in New York when we heard it? We were in New York. We were in New York, and it was just...
I heard it this way. We talked about it.
And it was
45 a month.
And then it's just weird that the day...
Actually, to be exact, it was when Trump got the assassination attempt. Mm-hmm. He tweeted the video and said, I fully endorsed the president. Then it was the same day or not the next day that came out. So it was a day after the assassination attempt, I think.
And it's just weird. Like that's
so what are you saying, though?
So I don't know, PBD. So I'm saying the support for Trump was there. God bless him. He's alive. Then nobody says anything. Everybody believes it. You don't come out and say that it's false. You're Elon Musk. You're on X. That should be the first thing he should have said. This is a lie. You know what I mean? This is a lie. But then it only happens because I think the letter from Mahmoud Abbas was written on the 12th or 6th. Rob, you can find the letter. And then Trump writes on the bottom of it, PBD. It's the Palestine president sends a letter. The day after Trump releases it, is there a photo of it, Rob? Because I can send it to you. There's a letter that he was sent. I think this is it right there. The day after, because this was written on the...
Can you read the letter?
Yeah,
Zoom in a little bit, Rob.
There you go. It is of grave concern that I've received news and later on watch footage of the attempted assassination. Acts of violence must not have any place in the law. In order to respect others and tolerance and valuing of human life must prevail. Despicable acts of attempted successful assassinations, acts weakness. I can't really, Rob, keep it a little bit closer.
Are acts of weakness.
Yeah. Failed understanding of peaceful measures to resolve conflicts. Differences must be resolved through communication with freedom and expression. Our thoughts are also with the families of those who lost life and were injured. Wishing you strength and safety. This was on the 14th. Trump just released that the day before, yesterday. And then the day after, Elon's in Congress, going to listen to Benjamin.
What are you saying, though? You're saying something, man. Just say what you're saying.
I'm basically saying the timing is weird.
You're saying because Trump showed something that's maybe anti-Israel, somebody called and said, Elon, you better denounce support for Trump.
I have a feeling that's a possibility that could happen because the timing.
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, because the timing is off, Pat. That's all I'm saying.
Adam, what are your thoughts?
I'm not reading anything like that. Here's what I can tell you. Is Elon Musk more on Team Trump or more on Team Biden, Democrat Harris?
In the past couple of years, Trump. He's leaning towards Trump.
Is it even close?
No, not at all.
Okay. When Biden did the EV forum at the White House and invited all the big EV companies, who's the one person that he didn't invite? Glaring omission.
Elon.
Yeah, when you think of electric vehicles, what's the one company, one name you think of?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's Elon Musk, okay?
Yeah.
It's not even close where his loyalty lies these days. You know, there's clips out there basically saying, yeah, Trump calls me all the time. I pick up the phone. There's even talks about him being some sort of part of the cabinet, whatever it is. These guys are in touch, and don't make any mistake about it. Elon is on Team Trump. Now, what he's basically saying is, look, I might not be donating $45 million a month. I'm going to cut some checks. Is this a clip about him talking about...
Yeah, I don't know if you want this, but this is where Elon says that Trump calls him out of the blue.
Yeah, just play this real quick, and then I'll land my plane.
I don't exactly know why he... This is a good question. I mean, you know, I have had some conversations with him, and he does call me out of the blue for no reason. I don't know why, but he does. And it's like, he's very nice when he calls, and and I was like, electric cars I think are pretty good for the future. America's the leader in electric cars, buy America and stuff. And and I think he actually, a lot of his friends now have Teslas, and they will love it. And he's a huge fan of the Cybertruck. So I think those may be contributing factors.
Elon, I'm going to need you a part of my cabinet. There it is. But as far as the specific comment about I don't subscribe to cult of personality, he commented on MAGA recently. He goes, I'm not MAGA, but what I am is MAG. I want to make America greater. And he doesn't necessarily subscribe to all 4 letters of the acronym MAGA, Make America Great Again. He's 3 out of 4. So if you want to know where his loyalty lines, he's 3 out of 4 with Trump, literally, Make America Greater, and 0 out of 4 with Biden.
Yeah, but the word
and that's
cult,
where he is these days.
word cult, to say cult, when you think of cult, what do you think? David Koresh, Charles Manson. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. So I'm just saying,
take that up with Elon, buddy. That's what he said. Not me.
No, I didn't. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is out of all this support, to use that specific word to me, I think it's kind of weird.
I think
that's it.
I think here's to speculate. Let's kind of go through and play a few different things. One, could it be that? What are the chances you think he was invited to speak at the RNC? What are the chances he got the invite?
Highly
percentage.
likely.
Give me a percentage. What do you think it is, Tom?
75%.
Tom, where are you at?
I'm at 95% chance that he was invited. Would you like to say some things about?
So what is it? So we know he said no.
For sure.
Okay, he couldn't make it or no or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought about it, of being there, right? Okay. Do you think that upset anybody, or do you think they were indifferent about it?
If Trump is calling him to have just regular, hey, what's up conversations, and if you turn down the RNC, people are probably upset.
Probably upset. Okay, now Trump.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? He wants loyalty. Trump wants. If you're cool with him,
even Dana White was invited. Trump told the story about, hey, listen, I don't know if I'm going to make it. He's like, look, I get it, whatever. And I spoke to my wife.
That's a good wife. Yeah,
it's a good wife. Yeah,
so
listen, he's never spoken at an RNC. He's never spoken at a DNC. There's 0 track record of him showing up. I don't think anyone's getting upset.
Perfect. So
he doesn't show up.
So now let's go to the next one. The report that came out showing 70% of Tesla owners are Democrats. You know that report that came out with the buyers that we went back and forth?
On Monday.
What's the likelihood that somebody who's a big investor in Tesla, big shareholder, called Elon and said, hey, Elon, do you support his policies? I do. Do you support what Republicans' policies more than Democrat? Absolutely, I do. Mm-hmm. Are you MAGA? No. Maybe it's a good idea for you to distance yourself from MAGA for your shareholders and support a PAC. Maybe differentiate between the two because some people are confused. I can do that. Okay, great. And guess what he says? Hey, guys, I'm not MAGA. I want to make America greater. Okay, cool. But at the same time, I am given to a super PAC based on certain values and principles, but I'm not a follower of a cult-like following of an individual. What's the likelihood a conversation like that took place?
I think it's very, very high, and it kind of reflects back to Michael Jordan, Republicans by sneakers
That's right.
too.
Correct. Now, let's do the other one, which is yours, which is the one you would go to. How about the one that says, guys, yesterday on Twitter, a lot of guys, I saw these things pop up because I follow a lot of people. It's like, well, let me tell you what's going on. What dirt do they have on Elon for him to be sitting there when Netanyahu was given? They told him Mossad has something on him. And if you don't, we're going to leak this to the public because they have something on Elon, right? The Mossad does. What's the likelihood that that's the case?
I mean,
what do you think? What's the likelihood that that's the case?
35 to 40%.
Okay, so then what's the likelihood that that's the case, Tom? That Netanyahu was bringing, by the way, they gave him the tour of, he gave the tour of Tesla, I believe. They drove him around. He was all over the place.
And mind you, Peter, this all comes from, remember, it wasn't anti-Semitic. He posted something that Jewish people deemed racist and everything. He had to fly to Israel, put his hand on the wall, wear the yarmulke, do that whole thing that you have to do. So it's not highly unlikely that something like that could happen. Because, these people are powerful. You can't act like they're not powerful.
Or
what?
Elon Musk is the type of person who does what he wants with some leeway here, and he's doing what he wants to do. He famously gave a speech when he was talking about Disney, and he said, I don't care. Go F yourselves. You're trying to tell me you can't speak out of sides of your both mouth. Here's a guy that does whatever he wants. He doesn't answer to anybody. The famous line from a Princess Bride that he always quotes, my name is Inigo Amaya. I kill my father. I prepare to die. I do what the hell I want. Here's what's going on. But at the same time, he's bought, he's sold it, he's paid for. There is some leeway here. I understand there is some balance here. But I think I'm on the side of Elon's going to do what Elon wants to do. He's worth $250 billion. Maybe he's a little bit more aligned with the Silicon Valley of the Middle East, aka Israel, than Mahmoud Abbas. By the way, you know who wants to also kill Mahmoud Abbas? Take a wild guess. Who would love to kill Mahmoud Abbas? Ready? Go for it.
Who?
Hamas. What's the reason that Mahmoud Abbas? By the way, you know how old Mahmoud Abbas is? Take a guess. Think Joe Biden's old? Mahmoud Abbas is 88 years old, about to be 89, running the PLO. There he is. Look at that pretty guy right there. He can't go into Gaza because Hamas would kill him. So when you're talking about whose side are we on, what's going on here, I don't know. There's one side, if you look into that speech with Netanyahu, there's one side that anyone in the U.S. or even Elon be like, yeah, I'm just going to take that side because I know that their interests are aligned with mine. So we can go all conspiratorial. We can make up stories here. What's going on? The reality is I think that Elon is going to do what Elon wants to do.
I disagree with that because he can't do everything that he does because he wants to do because they said, Israel and Netanyahu, all of them said that he said something anti-Semitic. It wasn't anti-Semitic, so he had to fly to Israel and basically bow down and be like, "No, I didn't." He didn't say.
So you use the word "he had to."
Yeah. Wait, but hold on. If he didn't, what would have happened to him, Adam?
Benny, I don't know. This is your world. Your stories you're making up in your head. I think that he wanted to go there.
I made up a story. Did I make it up? What did he say that was anti-Semitic?
Okay.
What did he say? Do you remember?
Let me tell you something, my friend.
Yeah.
Do you know where that is right there? That picture right there?
Yeah, Auschwitz.
Okay. You ever been to a Holocaust museum? You ever been to Auschwitz? You ever seen the worst of humanity, what they do to each other?
But what does that have to do with what he said?
The point is,
what did he say?
When you see stuff like that, it will change you. You ever been to the African American Museum in D.C.?
No, I haven't been to D.C.
That will change your life. You ever go see any sort of genocidal Holocaust memorials, any sort of Armenian Holocaust memorial, any sort of African-American? Go through that, walk through the horrors of what people can do with each other with genocidal
Adam, Assyrians were genocided
that will change
too.
your life.
No, I understand that, but
So my speculation is Elon Musk.
What did he say, though? Rob, can you find out what he said? That was so anti-Semitic.
I'm focused on one word, Vinny. I'm focused on what he's actually seen and done.
I got you. So let me tell you what I'm watching this morning. I'm watching this morning with Rob. Did you find what he said or no? So Vinny,
I'm looking right now.
Okay. So this morning, Fox and Friends, they have Trump on. Trump calls in. So what do you think about the heritage, 2025, whatever. He says, 25. So I am not with it. He says, I've never read it. I've never seen it. It's 100 pages. I'm sure there's some good ideas in there, but these guys are far-right conservatives that I disagree with a lot of what they have to say, but they're going to try to pin that on me. Okay, great. Then he says, what do you think about what's going on with Netanyahu and, all this other stuff? He says, Israel is good at a lot of things, but one of the things they are terrible at is public relations, okay? And what's public relations? Public relations is, like Mr. Beast right now. We're going to go into the story with Mr. Beast. Guess what he has to do? He has to do some public relations. He has to talk to some people and say, how the hell do I handle a situation like this? And do you think he has some handlers behind closed doors from Endeavor, that are telling him, here's the letter, here's how to go through it? Okay, no problem. So, do you think Elon called maybe a Larry Ellison and said, hey, Larry, the thoughts on what happened right now, what is it? Can you zoom up a little bit?
So who posted what?
You have said the actual truth.
So he was called anti-Semitic in reference to this post. You have said the actual truth in response to this post by the artist formerly known as Eric.
So he said Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hate against whites that they claim they want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest shit about how Western Jewish population is coming to the disturbing realization that that hordes of minorities that support flooding their country don't exactly like them too much. You want truth? Said to your face, there it is. All he said was, you have said the actual truth, and then he had to go and do the I'm not anti-Semitic tour. That's all I said. Has nothing to do with Auschwitz or all that stuff. What I'm saying is, if you are the man, you do whatever you want. You don't have to go and apologize to anybody if you have that attitude. That's what I'm saying.
But that's public relations.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what I'm saying to you is I get what you're saying. That's public relations. That's PR. That's, let me go, some of my biggest investors are Jews. Let me go over there and show that I'm not anti-Semitic, but I agree with the sentiment of where they're at. I can sit here and have a lot of things I disagree with, you know, Jews, and at the same time not be, not be, you know, against them. I can have differences with a lot of different people and not sit there and say, hey, so he's doing public relations is what he's doing. He went in, you know what he did? Went out there, and I'm probably, you know, the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro called and said, hey, do you want to go out there and make this better? I think he went on Ben Shapiro's podcast right afterwards, if I'm not mistaken, and they did something to talk about that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he immediately went on someone's podcast and talked about, is this the one? What's the date on this, Rob?
I'm taking a look now. I'm not exactly sure.
So what's the point? It's PR, what he's doing. He has to do PR. Do I think that he is there yesterday because somebody has something on him? I don't know. I think it's as simple as a business decision.
Well, PBD, if he said something against, let's pick another minority, against African Americans, would he have to have done?
Yes.
Really?
100%. You have to. 100%. You have to make that audience know, listen, I'm not against you, but this is my current position on this. He would do that as well. He would go and address that as well to make it good. That's your job as a leader. It's not easy to do all the time, but it's your job as a leader. You've done that. We've done that. Sometimes in a smaller setting in a company, it happens. Sometimes you make a comment in a company and you have to come back and say, hey, man, that was just a comment, bro. I don't have any problems with you. This is just on a larger scale because there's microscope on everything the richest man on earth does.
Yes.
Whatever you do, imagine times 8 billion. Because that's how many people are watching what this guy's doing. How many people are watching what you're saying out of work environment or something like that? Take that times the 8 billion people that are watching.
Also, don't forget the following, especially when you're dealing with PR. You know, there's a flip side to it. There's a team of the PR team called crisis management. Yeah. Because anytime you're a celebrity, anytime you're a public figure, you're going to do some great things. They want to amplify it, but you're also going to mess up, and they're going to want to diffuse that. So no matter what it is, no matter what group,
let's transition out. We're done with the story. Let's go to the next one. Netanyahu's speech. Did you watch Netanyahu's speech yesterday, Adam?
Of course.
Okay, so tell us what you saw. I heard a couple things he said, but I want to get your thoughts. What do you think about what he said?
So let me get you some notes real quick.
Rob, do you have a clip or something to show from yesterday?
I do. I have clips, and then I also have the protesters before
Okay, why don't we do this before we get into that? So here's Netanyahu yesterday giving a speech, and then we'll show the protesters as well. Go for it, Rob.
Many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the 2 babies, in the attic, in a secret attic. They murder the families, the parents. They find the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies. These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I have one other interesting clip if you'd like.
Let's see it.
All we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but they're there, and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
I've never heard them cheer like that for any president except Trump.
Some of these protesters, and it's amazing, absolutely amazing, some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
So you can pause it right there. So, Tom, what do you think? I saw a reaction from both you and Vinny. What are your thoughts on what he said there?
So there's a couple things that Netanyahu said. I think he's absolutely right. Number one, the 7th happened. It happened. It was horrible, and it was disgusting, and it was a weird, global response to it that unfolded, but it was horrifying. And he's pointing out that if you're going to be protesting It is a hell of a lot different to be protesting and saying, hey, Palestine needs a state. These people need a home. No one's going to disagree with that. You know, now, is the state get carved out of your backyard? Okay, a different question. And so you can be compassionate about people and the strife and the situation they're in. Says, but at the same time, you can objectively condemn, you know, the people that are supporting Hamas, you know, who perpetrated this terrible thing. And so the other side of it is, you know, you got to be careful what you support, because what you support also reflects on what you don't support. And what you don't support is going to make an implied reflection of what you support. And so I thought in those clips that we just saw, Netanyahu was making a very good and very precise point and was getting support from the U.S. Congress.
Well, so what's the ultimate goal of him being there yesterday? What was the goal? Like, why was Benjamin Netanyahu at Congress to do what? Well, he wanted garner American
support. Foreign policy from his side, along with the economic and military aid that comes with that.
Exactly. He wants. Right? The last time I remember him in Congress was 2002. Rob, I sent you the clip. He claimed that Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons and that he developed them from Russian scientists. Okay, and then he goes to suggestion that murdering and overthrowing Saddam would bring peace to the region. And then he said, what was the quote that he said? PBD, give me 1 second. He said he guaranteed it would have positive reverberations in the region. It did the complete opposite. Rob, you could play this.
Well, wait.
What?
Before we do that, let's be fair on that. If you're going to go back to history and do that, then you have to say the same thing about Tony Blair. And you have to say the same thing about Brian Mulroney. You have to say the same thing at that time. And about W and about Cheney.
But Rob,
about saying, hey, Saddam Hussein's got nuclear weapons. And if we knock this guy off, it's going to be better for the Middle East.
Yeah, they all were on the same page.
The West was singing the same song.
I agree 1,000%. I'm not talking about them right now. This is specifically about him being in Congress, and I agree. By the way, that's one of the main reasons I left the United States Air Force was because of the war and because of all the lies that were told.
I respect that.
So that's number one.
Tony Blair also sat in that chamber and said the same thing.
That was a whole coordinated thing. But all I'm saying is this: it reminded me of this, which everybody was singing the tune about Saddam Hussein, and there was nothing positive that has come because of it. Go ahead, Rob.
I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Killing Saddam Hussein.
And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say, the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone. There is a new age. Something new is happening.
And that is speculation on your part, or you have some evidence to that effect?
I was asked the same question in 1986. I had written a book in which I had said that the way to deal with terrorist regimes, with terror, was to deal with the terrorist regimes. And the way to deal with the terrorist regimes, among other things, was to apply military force against them.
The way we did in Afghanistan.
The way, for example, I want to answer your question.
Well, I guess I'm running out of time, so I quickly was trying to get there. We've done, I think, what you proposed in Afghanistan, yet I haven't seen that sort of neighborhood effect.
Well, I think there's been an enormous effect.
Really?
The effect was, we were told that there would be a contrary effect. First of all, people said that there would be tens of thousands of people streaming into Afghanistan, zealots who would be outraged by America's action, and this would produce a counter-reaction in the Arab world.
But I think you're not saying that when you take an action like we did in Afghanistan, we're going to see all the other countries just fold.
No, what we saw is something else. Be all, we saw everybody streaming out of Afghanistan. The second thing we saw is all the Arab countries and many Muslim countries trying to side with America, trying to be okay with America. The application of power is the most important thing in winning the war on terrorism. If I had to say, what are the three principles of winning the war on terror? It's like, what are the three principles of real estate? The three L's, location, location, location. The three principles of winning the war on terror are the three W's, winning, winning, and winning. The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes.
Yeah,
the first victory in Afghanistan.
I mean, but think about Pep. So he guaranteed, that guarantee didn't fall through. I mean, it completely fall through. Afghanistan, still a mess. Nothing positive is going there. I don't know.
What did he say you disagree with? What did he say about earlier in that clip that was played that said supporting gays for Gaza, it's like, chicken for KFC? Or when he said the same people that are being funded by Iran who hang gays from, what did he say? From a crane. Or they beat up a woman because she showed a little bit of hair are the same ones that are funding you. You know what they look at you as a useful idiot, right?
I'm not anti any of that. Like that everybody understands that. Everybody understands terrorism is wrong. Everybody understands that what Hamas did was wrong. Who funded them and who pays for all that, that's a whole different story. And going back to us not even knowing, nobody knows what happened on October 7th, meaning why. And that's a whole conversation we've had 100 times. Nobody knows what we are, where we are. I think the protesters are bought and paid for. They're bussed in, and we have a video that we could show PBD about that. And I get it, but it's like, what is the ultimate goal? We all get it. This war on terror, there's no face to it. It's been going on for how long? Terror.
These guys are what? These guys are the protesters?
These guys. Who's paying for this? Who is paying for these losers to show up, support Hamas? Okay, burn American flags. Who's paying for this?
He told you who.
No, Iran. And hold on, ready for this, Adam? So he's in Congress in front of the Biden regime.
Show the burning of the flags, Rob.
Yeah, which pisses me off so much, Pat. And then Adam, what I'm saying is this Biden regime that he's in front of, and they're all cool with. Who released that $6 billion, or how much was it, Adam, to Iran this year? Who was it?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Okay? So I don't want to hear all this. Oh, they're supporting. We're not supporting. They're funding this. All these people, and this is, again, the border as well, because the people that are masked, who knows where the hell they are? Who knows where the hell they come from? Who's paying for this? Where does this come? This isn't organic. This is paid for. This is somebody wants this to be seen, and obviously it's election year. But, that's...
Can I...
Yeah.
Seems like there's more camera coverage than there are actual.
Yeah, and by the way, where is this? Is this the Capitol?
It's
is this outside the Capitol?
Yeah,
by the way, so burning and setting fires outside, nobody's going to get arrested.
I give my opinion on flag burning. I gave my opinion on flag burning a month and a half ago. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, Vinny, you're going to have to pick a side, buddy. Here's the reality.
Okay, so it's a side picking thing. I have to, because that's exactly what you have to do is pick. You have to pick a side. I don't want anybody dying, Adam. I don't want any war, but I want answers for why we are where we are. Period. Is that bad to ask?
Totally appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
But just like how there's a binary option between the next presidential election, you're going to have to pick Trump or you're going to have to pick Kamala. You're going to have to pick a side in anything. Is Trump 100% right? No. Is Kamala 100% wrong? No. But you're going to have to pick a side. So, you're bringing up Bibi Netanyahu, for instance. I had to go back and figure out, all right, this guy, by the way, the reception he got when he walked in the room, you would think like the second coming of Jesus showed up. I was like, whoa, I had no idea there was this much support in Congress.
Himself.
He was surprised.
He made it look.
Okay, and this is his fourth time speaking in the joint session.
Work.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I hear this?
That is left, right, and
look at his face and at the end. You have to see his facial reaction. It's coming.
Remember who's on the top left of your screen, Mike Johnson.
Thank you.
Okay, you don't have it. There's a look that he makes where he's kind of like, they continue, is like a surprised look. Wow, I didn't even know you guys like me this much. I thought this was not going to be the case.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was resounding to the point where I was like, all right, this is a little much. I was like, all right, why is it? So number one, the testimony that he gave was just a congressional hearing. That wasn't addressing Congress like this. This is the fourth time he's done this. By the way, you might be saying, well, is it unique that world leaders address the joint session of Congress? Was basically when the Senate and the House all come together. It's actually happens pretty often. Last year was Zelensky. Before that, it was Jens Stoltenberg, who runs NATO. Macron addressed it. The Pope has addressed it. Shinzo Abe of Japan. The president of Afghanistan. Bibi Netanyahu has done this 4 times, and I think this is his 5th term of being the prime minister of Israel. But here are my 5 biggest takeaways of what he talked about. He spoke for about an hour after that very, very warm recession. Reception, yeah. Number one, he talked about what happened on October 7th. And he said, it was very clear. He said, this is not a clash of civilizations. This is a clash versus barbarism and civilization. And he was very clear to say the American allies are Arab allies, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Kuwait, whether it's UAE. He was very clear in saying this is not about Israel versus the Arab world, Israel versus Islam. This is about barbarism. And who's the leading sponsor of terrorism? Who's the leading sponsor of barbarism all around the world and all around the Middle East that's sowing discord? It's the Islamic Republic of Iran. And he was very clear about that. He says that these are the people that are funding Hamas. These are people who are funding Hezbollah. These are the people that American soldiers are fighting against the Houthis in the Red Sea. Americans are dying. By the way, on October 7th, you know how many people died? 1,200 people died from 41 different countries. You know how many American citizens died? 300? 37 Americans died.
Oh.
Americans. Yeah. So there were, I think 255 hostages, and 135 was returned. So he basically called out Iran. He said, quote unquote, America is the guardian of Western civilization, is the world's greatest superpower, and is at the forefront of stopping the Islamic revolution that Iran wants to sponsor all around the world since they came into power, as you know, in 1979. Number 3, biggest takeaway. Who's funding all these useful idiots, as they call him? Well, there's a few people. Iran is the leading sponsor, but you also have the George Soros globalist wing. You also have the TikTok generation wing that's going on out there. They want to sow discord and chaos in America, and these are the useful idiots. And you know what I found very interesting? He called out the university presidents. He called out Harvard. He called out Penn, and he called out MIT. You know what was interesting about MIT? Do you know who graduated from MIT? Bibi Netanyahu. You know, he was educated a lot in the United States. He's a very worldly guy. So
a lot of change, and the biggest critics, like Bill Ackman, came from those institutions, which makes them even more upset because I gave my money here, I gave my time here, they gave me a good degree, good education, and now it's come to this. So a lot of those folks are upset.
They've seen that it's and these useful idiots. So when I said you have to pick a side, Vinny, here you have the Prime Minister of Israel being applauded by American congressman, basically saying, we support America, we love Israel, we love America, and then you can juxtapose that with the useful idiots shouting death to America and burning the American flag. It's not a hard pick for me, and I assume as an American veteran, it's not a hard pick for you, but those are your options right there. These are the useful idiots. These are the resistance who hate America. Number 4 point, Gaza. Let's address what's going on in Gaza. He said there's a 3-part plan, and the 2 out of the 3 are the most important. He said, number 1, we are going to demilitarize and de-radicalize Gaza. Demilitarize and de-radicalize Gaza. We do not want to resettle Gaza, but we do want to have security control so this never happens again. And then he said, where has this happened before in history? Because let's use history, because if you don't learn from history, you're destined to repeat it. Well, in Germany and Japan, they had to go through a de-radicalization and demilitarization to get where they are today. Look at them now. They're some of our greatest allies. So here you have a situation where our enemies in World War II are some of our greatest allies in the world today. And he basically talked about the second coming of the Abraham Accords, which he wants to basically call the Abraham Alliance. And he thanked Trump for that. And he also thanked Biden for his support, especially on the attack from Iran that came in April. The Abraham Alliance, and he wants to basically form the NATO of the Middle East. Because again, I'll ask you the question, who is the number 1 threat in the Middle East that everyone's worried about? The Islamic Republic of Iran. And he basically compared them to Russia during the Cold War and forming this NATO alliance. Here's the last point. I had no idea that the relationship with America and Israel was actually this strong until I saw how Congress was treating Netanyahu. It was a full-on bromance. And he said the following words. He goes, the future looks bright, basically, because America is a light in the world in the darkness. And we are proud to be on the front lines against terrorism in the Middle East. There's no American boots on the ground there. Israelis are dying, fighting terrorism. So if you're like, oh, well, Gaza, I want to free Gaza. Cool. But do you also support the Houthis in Yemen? Do you also support Hezbollah in Lebanon? So you're just supporting Iran's terrorism tentacles. Cool. Got it. Makes sense. So he said that Israel is an oasis of prosperity and peace in a troubled region. Like I've always said before, Israel is the nicest house in a very bad neighborhood. And America is a light in the world. And he left the speech, these people in Congress, selfies. So I'm thinking, are all these people, let's go down to AIPAC must own all these people. Okay. Is that what it is? Sure. How about, and I'm learning this, the most evangelical Christians in America, the most, millions, tens of millions in America. They stand with Israel. They follow the Bible, the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they are the reasons that they are so steadfast with Israel. It has nothing to do with actually Bibi Netanyahu and Israel. They read the Bible, and Judeo-Christian values permeate, especially through the Republican aisle.
But here's my question, though. Can I, because you're saying you have to take a stance. How about, can I do this, Adam? Can I hate Hamas and anything that any terrorist organization stands for, and at the same time disagree with Bibi Netanyahu, the guy that's, he was supposed to be on trial for bribery and all that stuff in his country, that has been saying forever what he's wanted to do with Gaza, okay? It's not a secret. And all the signs, all the warnings, all the everything, all the failure of security. And then you're talking about the future of Gaza. How many displaced Palestinians who aren't Hamas had to leave and get out because of the bombing? 2-point-some million? How many?
Millions of people to move, yes.
You mean to tell me when the smoke clears and the bombing and everything's done, how many of those people are going to be brought back to? I'm genuinely inquisitive.
What do you mean brought back?
I mean all the people that had to leave because their homes are rubble now. When they rebuild this thing, and I've seen photos and I've seen what the future of what Bibi wants it to look like. How many of those people are going to be gone? Like, hey guys, come back to your homes and to your land. Well, I'm just curious.
Vinny, let me ask you something. Where do you think those people are, buddy?
Who knows? Who knows?
What do you mean?
They're displaced. They're all over the place.
Vinny, read the news, bro.
What news?
They're still in Gaza. They've been moved from Rafah to Gaza City to Kunyanis. Like they're still in Gaza, guy.
Yeah, but not
Egypt won't take them in. Jordan won't take them in. They're not in Israel.
It's not their responsibility to take them in.
Listen, hear me out.
Yeah.
They're still in Gaza. What do you mean? Who knows?
I'm saying
I know. You know. Everyone knows. They haven't gone anywhere.
But okay, Adam, what about the part of Gaza that got in the most?
Those are that part's destroyed. Exactly.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
that's like saying, "Hey, we're in Fort Lauderdale, bro. But Fort Lauderdale's destroyed. We got to move to Miami." Cool, we're moving to Miami.
Yeah,
they're still in Florida.
Yeah, they're in different parts. But my question is, once the main
they're displaced. Once the main, it's not like they don't have a land.
Once the main city, once that main part is bought back, how many of them are going to be able to come back and reclaim what? The rubble? That's all I'm saying.
They got to build it. Listen, don't get it twisted. Gaza should be Singapore right now. Gaza should be Dubai right now. They've been granted billions of dollars, bro. Billions of dollars. And where'd all that money go? Come on, follow the money. Where'd all the money go?
Well, for what?
To terror tunnels and stolen and hijacked by Hamas. This isn't a secret, dude. Just follow what's going on here. Hamas, where does Hamas leadership live?
All over the world.
No, not all over the world.
And Qatar and places like that. That's all over the world. That's not their land. That's not
all over the world. They're in
Iran,
Qatar.
They're in Qatar, they're everywhere.
No, they're in Qatar, and they're billionaires because they've taken all the money that should have gone to the people to build schools and mosques and playgrounds and hospitals and help the people. But they said, no, we're going to basically build terror infrastructure for one reason and one reason only, to attack Israel. Yeah. Now, if Israel wanted to drop a bomb and kill literally 2 million people, don't you think they could do that? But no, they could.
But what would they look like if they did that?
Well, of course. Well, everyone already thinks they're doing genocide. But what's the point? We're talking about Bibi Netanyahu's speech. He said in the speech that the international court, they're basically trying him for to be a war criminal. He said that and check this in the speech, it's been the lowest civilian to combatant casualty in the history of war. Why? Because they drop leaflets, text messages, calls, emails. They say, we are coming into the city next week. Get the hell out of there. We're coming for Hamas. Get out. Everyone said you can't go into Rafah. He said this in the speech.
Yeah.
I'm just reciting. This isn't my opinion. You can't go into Rafah. There's too many people there. He said, we're going in. Get the hell out. You have 30 days. Those displaced people, you're like, I don't know where they are. They move back north.
Yeah, some of them get bombed and killed. But
that's what happens.
But here's my point. Yeah, but
the point is, nobody wants to see dead people.
But I don't like.
Nobody wants to see dead babies. Nobody wants this.
I don't like nobody does except terrorists. But I don't like the fact when somebody says you have to pick a side. This is what happens with that rhetoric. If I don't support Hamas, then by default I'm a Hamas supporter,
Vinny,
which is bullshit. You
Vinny,
can't.
do you support Donald Trump?
No, 100%. I support Donald Trump.
100%?
Yes, 100%. Meaning I support him. I don't, not everything that he does,
do you
but I support him.
understand one thing? Just soak it in. Bibi Netanyahu is the Donald Trump of Israel.
I wouldn't say that.
I'm letting you know this.
I don't know about that.
All the courts, all the trials, everything. It's the same exact thing.
How do you not realize that? That's a stretch. You can't.
Tell me the reason why that's not the case.
I wouldn't.
Tell me the reason it's not the case.
Benjamin Netanyahu compared to Donald Trump.
He's literally the Donald Trump of Israel.
He was. I don't think so.
You don't have one rebuttal.
From the build-up, from who he is and how he came to power and everything.
You know who he is in today's society.
I don't know. That's
I'm telling you.
What he's, both of you guys, what he's saying is that politically and ideology-wise, he's like Trump. What you're saying, I don't know, because he's been in it for 40 years. Like yesterday he said, President Biden and I have a 40-year friendship together. I remember President Biden verbatim said the following to me. I'm a proud, his words, this is Biden words, Zionist, Irish American.
Irish Catholic Zionist, yes.
That's what he said. Yes. Okay, so you're saying he didn't come the business route, he came the journalism route to be up to where he's at right now. Maybe that's what you're saying.
I'm just specifically saying if you're going to compare any politician in America
I'm watching the chat right now. I'm watching the chat right now. Some of you guys fully disagree with Adam. Some of you guys fully disagree with Vinny. Guess what? Go ask them a question. They'll respond. Right there. Minnect them right there and ask him any questions you may have or ideas or other articles to help them strengthen their argument. Show the QR code of Adam and Vinny. Ask them a direct question if you don't agree with them and see what they tell you here.
Please,
they will respond back to you, except Adam's voice,
he'll talk to you like
so what were your thoughts on this going on here?
I thought he gave a great message. I was surprised how much he was welcome. I saw the, what is the four girls she was holding that sign up. Did you see the sign up?
He's a war criminal.
Yeah, war criminal holding the sign up. I saw that.
Of course.
I thought he gave by the way, he's probably one of the best communicators in the world. Even when you see that one 2002 C-SPAN back and forth of the way he explained the 3 L's in real estate, location, the 3 W's in wars, winning. Yeah, while she's doing that, I don't have opposing idea. I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with people having differing opinions. But you know what sometimes happens? Sometimes you sit there and like the Israeli side, it's what I keep saying over and over again. I'm not a LeBron James fan. Can't stand him. He owns the NBA right now. With agents, with managers, with sponsorship, with everything. He owns the NBA right now. They don't even know it. Michael never owned the NBA the way LeBron does. LeBron is a Jew in the NBA. Okay? LeBron is using Jewish tendencies to run the NBA. That's LeBron, okay? Say whatever you want to say. It's the strategies he's using. You know what Jews did? They simply had better strategies, better discipline with money, long-term thinking. They did business together. They invested instead of wasting their times, created a ton of wealth, and control a lot of different industries. You know who else can do that? Armenians, Assyrians, Persians, whites, blacks, Irish, Italian, you name it. You can do it as well. It's a strategy. Who says you can't use that? They've done that. Now, how they use their power and they bully, they take advantage, they use Mossad, they do all of that stuff. That part, criticize it all you want if that is taking place. All you want. Mossad, I've had the former director of Mossad on the podcast, and we had a conversation together 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, before any of this stuff took place. It's a very interesting conversation because, it was, he had a hard time answering any of the questions because he was trying to, walk around protecting, not to say what to say. But all those questions can be in favor. But Vinny, the part that Adam asked the question that is partially right is you, in your family, if you have kids, and if you don't take a position on one side or the other, you're going to raise confused kids, okay? And trust me, it's not going to be like you're going to sit there and, well, what about this and what about this? Like, how many arguments on faith are you 100% that Jesus is God? Are you 100%?
100% believe it.
You believe it?
I believe that.
Do you know it?
I mean, that's my faith.
But faith is what?
Is my believing something that I haven't been seen, but I believe in my heart.
That's right. Me too. But it's faith. Is there risk in faith?
Of course.
Okay, you marry somebody. Are you 100% that's going to work out?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. You're going based on what? There's an element of faith, right? In certain things, you'll do business with certain people. I've been in business with a lot of people that I don't trust 100% of them. Can't say that. I'm going to go into insurance business with some guys and I trust them 100%. It's not going to be the case. But there has to be a position on what one side stands for versus what the other side stands for. And for me, having lived in Iran, and I'm going to say this continuously, and seeing what happened. By the way, they talk about Israel is the reason why the Middle East was at peace. You know why the Middle East was at peace? It wasn't Israel. It was because of the Shah of Iran. The Middle East was at peace when the Shah was in charge. That's when Iran ran the world. That's when Iran was the reason why there was nothing going on in the Middle East. The first time you ever heard the statement, Mark Bar America, happened in 78 by Khomeini's camp. Pre-78, you would have never heard those phrases from Iran. Iran would have been somewhere like right now, you know how we're sitting there talking, saying, where are we going for Christmas? Yeah. You know what the conversation would have been? Let's go to Iran. I'm being serious with you. We would have said, let's go to Iran. Let's go to Iran. Let's hang out there with the family. Let's go stay at the Four Seasons. Let's go stay at Hilton. Let's go stay by the mountains. Let's go skiing. Have you seen the skiing, what Iran looks like? You ever seen the mountains of Iran?
Ridiculous.
Have you seen what skiing Iran? Go skiing in Iran. And this is Iran. People don't realize. That is Iran. Wow. That's not Aspen. That is not, Montana. That's Iran, okay? Iran was a place that was heaven on earth until these Hezbollahs, Khomeini, these people showed up, and it changed. That is a proven case study. So as much as Israel wants to take credit for the Middle East being at peace, you know how the Shah was? Here's how the Shah was. The Shah was slightly different than even Netanyahu, because I'll take a complete different position here. The Shah got so powerful, so strong in the Middle East that nobody wanted to fight. With Israel, every once in a while, there's what? There's fights.
Yeah.
With the Shah, top 5 military in the world, everybody's like, look, man, you do not want to cross the line with the Shah. Peace, peace, peace. And then the 25-year oil renewal contract was coming up in 1979. Hey, man, we got to make sure the Shah falls. Jimmy Carter, Shah falls. Contract, it's a mess. Then, comes Saddam Hussein, comes Khomeini, comes all this stuff. It's a mess. Ever since Jimmy Carter went to Iran to do a toast with the Shah December 31st of 1977, the Middle East has been a shit show. Ever since. This is the toast. Rob, if you want to pull it up, Carter and the Shah. Ever since this toast, this is the day. The last time the Middle East was at peace was this day. Wow. Pull up this day. That's the day. Okay? That is the last time the Middle East was at peace. December 31st, 1977. Jimmy Carter praises Iran as a what? An island of stability. What? What'd you say? Iran, an island of stability? Yes. A Democratic president called Iran an island of flippin' stability. Then what happens? They leave. Hey, man, these guys are getting a little too powerful. He takes a shot at the blue-eyed people. And you know what he said about the blue-eyed people? Can you pull up the video about blue-eyed people? Just type in Shah, blue-eyed people. Okay? Type in blue-eyed people. Just go to YouTube, Shah, blue-eyed people. Watch this, videos. Okay? How long is this? 53.
53 seconds.
Okay, go for it. Play this. Watch this. Audio, Rob?
Audio. Shut it off.
Out of, candidly, Your Majesty, is there no element, not of revenge, because that is not a noble impulse, but at least some element of satisfaction in seeing the giants of the West in some disarray?
Well, no, because their disarray is, I think, needs a restructure of their society.
The brown-eyed peoples are teaching the blue-eyed peoples something, is that?
Well, no, we are not teaching something. The blue-eyed people have to wake up.
Wake up to?
From their
sleeping pills.
Complacency for this torpor in which they put themselves by taking maybe too many sleeping pills.
You know when he said that? You know what year that is, Rob? Is that 74 or 77? Can you see what the date is on that? It's either 74 or 77. This is the last time the Middle East was at peace. The Democratic Party, Carter, whose campaign was Human Rights Movement, which was a noble movement, good guy, caused him to fall. After he falls, what happens? The Middle East has never been at peace since December 31st of 1977.
Correct.
We can talk about all the stuff that we want. And even Jews sometimes want to give a lot of credit for Israel. Pre-Israel was doing what they were doing, Iran was bringing a peace. And by the way, Iran had a very good relationship with Israel, and he was not a fan of Zionists. Mm-hmm. Have you heard what he said about Zionists? Can you pull up Shah of Iran on Zionists? You've never heard what he said about this?
I may have, Pat, but I can't recall the whole thing.
Shah of Iran Zionists. Watch this. That's the one. That's the clip. It's too long, Rob. I mean, you have to realize, I have a book coming out in September. It's a book I've been working on for 14 years. The character in the book is an Assyrian kid named Asher, whose mother is Armenian, who is about a secret society that recruits kids and develops them into future leaders of the world. As it got closer that this book was being released, in the book, one of the villains in the book is a former director of Savak. Savak is the Mossad, the CIA of Iran.
Still to this day, they're
the Savak was, not after Khomeini.
Got you.
Do you know who contacted me and said, I have to have a meeting with you?
Who?
The former director of Savak.
So this guy is like he was
came
dangerous.
to the house, and me and my wife and this guy and his wife, he spent 8-9 hours with me. What? We talked about the good, bad, ugly of what happened with Iran to fall, all this stuff, because of this book, okay? Wow. And he says, how do you know me, that you're depicting me as the person in the book here? Because he read the book. Somebody handed him the book. And we sat there and he says, am I the villain? Are you talking about me? And by the way,
excuse me,
he's the main bad guy.
I wrote about him as the character of the villain prior to ever talking to him or meeting him.
Wow. How did he like the book?
Oh, he couldn't believe the book when it came out. So, but the point here is, you know, sometimes Jews want to take a lot of credit for, you know, Middle East, all this. I got to tell you guys, if you're watching this a little bit on the Israeli Jews, folks, okay, yeah, the Middle East was at peace when Iran was in charge. Okay, I'm just telling you. Middle East was at peace when the Shah was running Iran and everybody and their mothers would go to Iran and visit. Okay? And Mossad and Savak were closely together. Mossad, Savak, MI6, and CIA would all train each other, just so you know. Savak was trained by Mossad, was trained by CIA, was trained by MI6, and then Iran's destroyed. Then comes, you know, the new Iran, the Hezbollahs, the Houthis, all this stuff. And then the Middle East has been a mess.
Can I respond, please?
Of course, sure.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, basically, that would the world be better served if the Shah of Iran was still running the country or the Ayatollahs? It's not even close. Let's not, I mean, what are you talking about right now? By the way, when Israel became a state in 1948, a lot of other Middle Eastern countries became a state because the Ottoman Empire controlled the entire Middle East up until World War II, up until World War I, and then World War II. The British Mandate of Palestine basically was taken over. Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Transjordan, all these countries came to be. Do you know one of the first countries to recognize Israel in 1950? Iran, the Shah. So they recognize that Israel had a right to exist. That's a definition of Zionism. By the way, do you know what country today has the highest approval rating for Israel? The people of Iran, because they know what it's like to live under a thug life regime. So the numbers are just basically adding up here. But what's the point? So, you know, you can be critical of an enemy, obviously. You can also be critical of an ally. But you know what you could also be? You can be critical of your own country. I love America. How many times am I criticizing Trump, Biden, Kamala? That's part of democracy. So you can criticize who the hell you want, and that's fine. By the way, do you know Bibi Netanyahu's approval rating in Israel? Take a wild guess. In Israel.
And when wartime happens...
No, right now, bro.
83 points. What is it?
What do you think it is?
83?
83?
95.
95?
50.
32%, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
hold on. What's Trump's approval rating in America today?
40, 50%.
No.
Approval rating?
There it is right there, 32%. So what does that mean?
Well, what's Trump's?
The majority of Israelis are like, yo, bro, I don't like what you're doing. That's a democracy, homie. What is Trump's approval rating right now?
48.
You know the number. It's 42%. That's his ceiling and his floor basically for the last 8 years. What's Kamala Harris's approval rating? There's Trump right here. What's the number? I guarantee you it's 42. What's the number, Rob?
Favorable.
42.4.
Oh my God, how do they know that?
Yeah.
What's Kamala's?
It has to be, what, 20, 15?
38%.
Oh,
What's the point? Is that in a democracy. Exactly.
Well, this isn't a democracy, but you can keep going. I hate when people say this is a democracy. We are not a democracy.
We're a republic, but we're also a democracy.
How does that work?
Vinny, I want you to go read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence.
What about the Pledge of Allegiance?
You saw a video one day that was like, we're a republic, not a democracy.
No, it's in the Pledge of Allegiance. You love the Pledge of Allegiance.
We're still a democracy.
You love the Pledge of Allegiance.
The republic of which it stands,
yeah, we're the republic.
But we're also a democracy.
I don't believe it.
That's like saying, I'm a human, but I'm also a being. Yeah, you're both, guy.
Get to your point, please.
The point is, don't call me a homo sapien.
Yeah. It's true. What's Kamala's approval rating?
Adam, get
37.
to your point.
I already made the point.
Okay, then we're moving on. That's it. Fantastic.
That you can be critical of your allies and your enemies.
All right, so we're moving on.
Points be damned. Let's just go another hour.
So again, agree, disagree, Minnect. Have the conversation. Use the app directly. Ask the questions you may have. If you agree, disagree. I mean, Tom had a lot to say. If you guys disagree with what Tom said the last 25 minutes, ask him. Ask him and say whatever you disagree with and say, Tom, I fully disagree. Watch Tom all of a sudden get 50 Minnects right now for the support.
10 seconds.
No,
I'm not giving you 10 seconds.
The big dog of the Middle East is who?
Saudi.
Saudi. Okay. Thank you. Exactly.
All right, let's continue. Let's go to this next thing here. All right. Can we talk, with your permission, Adam, can we talk about Kamala Harris? Just talk about Kamala Harris here. All right. So
talk about practice.
Kamala Harris, a few stories I'm going to go through here. One, Harris earns $231 million in donations on day one of her presidential campaign. One. Two, Kamala Harris managing her money. What is she doing with the way she's managing her money? Let's talk about a couple things there. One, her mortgage, we know is 2.65%, as if it matters, right? But that's what she's got. So Vice President Kamala Harris and her husband, Doug, earned a combined $450,000 in 2023, including Harris's $218,000, the VP salary, and his $174,000, which is a Georgetown University professor. They also earned $50,000 in taxable interest, $6,000 from Harris's book royalties. That is pretty bad. By the way, my last quarter's book royalty on one of my books, Your Next 5 Moves, was $154,000. A vice president's book.
How much?
Let me explain to you what this means. Do you realize how you are the vice president of a freaking free world and you have only $6,000 over?
$6,000?
Do you know what that means? By the way, do you know what that means? That's 6,000. No, honestly, you make around $5 to $6 per copy you sell, depending on the agreement she has. That means only 1,000 people bought her book the last 12 months. They should have never disclosed that fact. That's embarrassing. I would send that money back and said, please don't report this to my tax.
What is her book? What's in it?
Give it to charity, Tom, so I can say all dollars given to charity.
You ran a publishing company before. Am I off base to say $6,000 residual? By the way, do you know what her agent makes, Vinny? Do you know what her agent makes on that? 15%.
15% of.
You know what's 15% of 6? That means he made roughly $1,000.
Right. Chilling.
For the year. You know how many Kamala Harrises you need to make $1 million if that was your client? You know how many? 1,000 Kamala Harrises would make the agent $1 million in a year. You need 1,000 vice president, and she's running for office. Let me continue here.
Yes,
their charitable contributions is $23,000. With significant donations to colleges in California and Howard. Now, next, investments and assets. The couple's assets range from $3.6 million to $7.3 million, primarily held in their retirement accounts and cash. They have $850 to $1.7 million in bank accounts and between $1.79 and $4.4 million in retirement accounts. Harris's pension include California state pension worth $39.81 per month, stating at $860, and a lump sum San Francisco pension valued at $250 to $500. And in real estate mortgage, they own a 3,500 square foot home in L.A. Good for them. They bought for $2.7 million in 2012. Wow, in 2012, that's 12 years ago. That's probably that's a good size home. And now worth $5 million. There's no way it's only worth 5 months. It's got to be more than that. They benefit from a low 2.65 mortgage rate on a $2 million loan. Good for them. Obtained during the pandemic, which has significantly. Okay, so that's that part. What they're doing financially. Okay. And then stories you're hearing about, a couple other things. What would the economy look like with Kamala? I'm going to put all these 3 stories and then we'll get into it. WSJ, what would a Harris presidency mean for economy? Kamala Harris, while largely in sync with Biden on economic issues, emphasizes priorities like building up the middle class, paid family leave, and affordable child care. Former Harris advisor asked her to focus on easing high price on working families while the administration faces criticism for inflation that hit 40-year high. Tax and housing policies include supporting Biden's tax agenda to increase tax on corporations and high-income households. Got it. Trade and climate stance. Harris opposed major trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement. Differing from Biden's stance, she supported a Green New Deal and a comprehensive fracking ban and played a key role in passing the Inflation Reduction Act and the largest U.S. investment in combating climate change. Tom, thoughts on Kamala?
Well, let's break this down, and let's not pick on her personally. Let's just pick on her policies. So trade and climate stance. She's pro-union, big-time pro-union, and she's bought into the green agenda, which means no more drilling, let's have less fossil fuel coming out of the ground, and union. That's why she's against trade agreements. No, U.S. jobs here. Part of the U.S. jobs here is a good thing, but blind support of the unions and the kind of the mob mentality they have is not good. But tax and housing, it's going to be the same thing where it's tax the rich. That's basically her tax and housing policy is tax the rich and then give free spaces to as many people as possible. Economic focuses and challenge. I don't understand. They say she's largely in sync with Biden on economic issues, like building up the middle class. That's a campaign slogan. What do you mean? What are you going to do there? Paid family leave and affordable childcare means handouts from the government to people. So what you have here is a hard liberal on unions, anti-drilling, and international trade, and tax the rich. You have that, and then more handouts in the form of we gave you free government cheese, we gave you free phones, and now we're going to do free paid leave and all these other things. So what you see here is the bones of a pretty much a hard left liberal, but not as far out as AOC and the squad. That's what you see.
Yeah. If Kamala Harris is the president, it'll be the most liberal president we've ever had in the history of the United States. Her economic plan would basically just be Bidenomics, part 2, Kamalanomics. She's done nothing. In her entire career, she's never built a business. She's never created jobs. She's a DEI plant bureaucrat that has basically come out of nowhere out of Willie Brown's office in 2010, showed up into the Senate in 2016, was planted in 2020, picked because Joe Biden needed to check off all the boxes of a woman of color to basically be his running mate, and now she's basically being, quote unquote, per Joe Biden, passed the torch to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. I'm sorry, Democratic Party, who I've voted for in the past. I thought we had elections. I didn't realize we had coronations. Who basically said, yo, Kamala's the girl? By the way, look at American history. What's the track record for a woman becoming president? 0. What's the track record for a black woman becoming president? Less than 0.
She's not black.
She's not black, by the way.
She is black. Her father is Jamaican.
That's not black, but go ahead. Just keep going, Adam.
I'm sure the Jamaicans are black.
We haven't even had a black person.
By the way, did you see what
Indian.
Trump posted yesterday? Yeah. Pull up what Trump posted yesterday, Rob, where he shows 2 different articles that says, from Insider years ago, showing, do you have this or no? Where it says, I think he posted it on his Instagram. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about. He posted this that said, let me pull this up and then I'll the same link that shows one article says, Kamala Harris is the first Indian, whatever to become this candidate.
Her mom is Indian.
And then 8 years later, it says first African American. Yeah. So meaning they flipped the script. They changed the story of what she is to what she is now because they're trying to get the black vote. But keep going.
Well, look, we want to play identity politics. Nobody plays it better than the Democratic Party these days. I mean, we all know
obviously.
That. So we know this. I mean, the one thing good that I will say about Kamala, clearly, if you can't tell, I'm not a fan. It doesn't seem like she's ripped off the U.S. government because it's found of the amount of money she has for a 60-year-old woman, she's 59 to be 60 years old soon, is perfectly within line of what a relatively successful person in California would be worth.
Yeah, that one right there. That one right there. 2016, California's Kamala Harris becomes the first Indian-American U.S. senator. Then 4 years later, AP, same place. Biden picks Kamala Harris as running mate, first black woman.
And they capitalize the B.
Exactly.
Black woman.
If her dad is black and her mom is Indian, Pick one.
Ask Jamaicans, though, but like Mike doesn't believe it. But go ahead, just finish. I want to hear this.
I know a lot of Jamaicans. They're all black. I mean, what are we saying right now? So she's a black Indian woman. Regardless, she's a woman of color. She's checking off the box. I'm wondering who's going to basically be there at the DNC to challenge her, or is it just going to be a coronation? I've never said this before in my life. I'm about to say these words. Versus Kamala, I am 100% the Trump camp.
Whoa, 100%. Take it to the bank.
I'm 100% voting for Trump versus Kamala. It's not even a question.
What the article is talking about is what would the Harris presidency mean for the economy? And I don't really care whether they call her black or not. They're going to put the spin on that and say whatever they want. First black, woman president. We haven't even had a black woman first lady. So I want to look back and say... I want to go back and say the article talked about what would it mean for the economy. And what it would mean for the economy is she's never run a massive business. She's never been a governor. She's never been a mayor. Mayors and governors are the ones that have to run things and to bring economic change and economic incentives and bring everything to their city or their state. She hasn't done that. She's a pure politico without any economic experience in an elected office, other than that she's walked around searching for the border as vice president.
Then let me ask another question. Complete different question for you. Okay. So Jennifer Aniston plays this clip, Rob, if you can show it. This is a clip from J.D. Vance on Tucker Carlson when he was on Fox talking about Kamala and Pete Buttigieg and AOC being decision makers. Rob, I think I may have texted it to you, so you should have it. Talking about the fact that, it's in your text, talking about the fact that, hey, why are we having people who don't have kids create policies for us? Okay? Meaning Kamala Harris, what people don't know is she doesn't have any kids of her own. Yep. Okay? Pete Buttigieg, according to science, has never given birth to anybody. Neither has his husband.
What?
Yeah.
He had a kid, though.
No. It's adopted. I know you followed.
I thought it came out.
AOC, okay? She's got a long line of men that would probably love to have a kid with her on the left or the right, but she has no kids, right? So play the clip of what J.D. Vance says right there. Go ahead. This is Jennifer Aniston sharing this on her Instagram. So maybe she is a big J.D. Vance fan.
Sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it. Saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Okay, I got a question for y'all. Okay, and I want to open it up. And Tom, I'm going to come to you first. And then Vinny, I'm going to you. And then Rob, I'll go to you last. So here's where we're going. Okay, one, president. Which of these, Adam, are you more comfortable saying, and rank them, Tom. Rank them to say, I'm not ready for that. Do you think a president who's never served the military shouldn't serve? Somebody who is single, not married, somebody doesn't have kids, or somebody that's over 80. Rank them to say there's no way I would want a president that.
So it's military, it's kids.
Never served, doesn't have any kids of their own, single, not married, and over 80. Which of those four are you least comfortable being your president? Tom, I'm coming to you first. I'll say it one more time. Never served in the military, so doesn't know how to be the commander-in-chief, right? Doesn't have any kids of their own, never been married, and last but not least, over 80 years old. Thomas.
So the one that I would probably look at.
Can you rank it like top four from worse? Like I have a problem with this, but I really don't have a problem with this. First, second, third, fourth. Rob, can you put that poll, see how people respond to that?
So I would be number one, single, because I think family in America, very important. That's probably the first thing I would look at.
So that's your biggest problem. You can't have a single president.
Yeah. And then I go down to...
Clubs would be on fire if you think
ridiculous.
Keep going. That's I'm writing everyone's down. Tom, number one is single. Two.
And then I probably go... kids, I don't know how to rank that really, but I certainly prefer...
Tom, do you have yours?
I have mine.
Go ahead. Give me yours.
So number one, I think over 80. I don't want anybody that's.
You're about to have one.
I'm about to have one.
Okay.
Yeah, but he should have been gone by this. Like
Okay,
he would have been
so
gone in
over 80 is
November.
one.
I think over 80.
What's 2?
Especially with the brain situation.
Trump's going to be over 80.
What's 2?
I'm saying he should have been gone. Anyway, number 2, no kids.
No kids.
I think
Number
kids
3.
add, yeah.
You're thinking
no
as well.
military.
No
and then
military.
single.
So you don't give a shit if they're single.
I think that'd be a fun.
Okay,
that'd be a fun little crazy.
Adam, where are you at, Tom? I'm going to still come to you, so please have your numbers ready.
Okay, I'm very clear on 1 and 4 and 2 or 3 interchangeable. Last on my list is, you want me to go number 1 first?
Like, there's no way I want a president.
Number 1,
that is.
I don't want a single president. Dude, you know how much
fun that would be.
A single president. Imagine Andrew Cuomo, single president.
Just give me your rankings and then we'll go through it.
Number 2, I'm okay with someone who's 80 if they're functioning.
Okay.
Because Warren Buffett is 95 years old doing just fine. Donald Trump, the guy that
is
you don't...
80 your 4th or where's 80?
It's 2nd.
Okay, and then?
No kids, because I do believe that if you're going to be running a country, you probably need... And military, we've had dozens of presidents who've never served in the military.
So for you, your most important thing, there's no way I want a president that's single.
I don't want my president going out
I don't want a
partying like me in
president
South
that's
Beach.
over 80. 3, I don't want a president that has kids, but you're a little bit okay with it. And then last but not least, we've been in the military or not today, I don't really give a shit.
Yes, correct.
Okay, Tom.
Okay, single, 80, military, kids.
So you don't care whether they have kids or not?
I would prefer that they do.
Okay, so
but my concern would be, what if they can't? I almost didn't have kids.
No, I get that. But let's just say you're hot, you're attractive. Let's say you dated a good-looking guy. Like, let's just make up a name, like a guy named Montel Williams. Let's just say you're so attractive, Tom, you dated a guy named Willie. Let's just say you really are attractive.
Or we elect Kennedy 7 years before we elect him.
But the point I'm saying to you is, Kamala Harris, no kids. Whether by choice or not by choice, we don't know, okay? She's attractive. Nobody can take anything about the way that Kamala's attractive. So do you think that is an issue for somebody to come up with policies for the future of America that doesn't have any kids of her own? Is that anything that of a concern to you for Kamala?
Yes, I don't think she's got the full perspective.
However, what if she can't have it due to health?
Mm-hmm. That's where it makes it very difficult for me to say, okay, absolutely not.
The very reasonable answer.
I'd like to draw a distinction.
Yeah.
I'm okay with Kamala if that's she's been married, she's got stepkids. I understand that. Where I'm not comfortable with are the AOCs of the world who've never been married, never have no kids, dictating the laws of the lands of what you should be doing with that. Totally understand that component because there's levels to this thing. So AOC or like anyone on what he called the feminist cat ladies, you ever notice that the feminists are always the women that can't get men? So it's interesting how that works.
I mean, listen, you guys are failing to understand what can be unburdened by what has been.
Never thought about that.
You guys have not figured that out yet. Is that what she's talking about?
Yeah.
But PBD, I want to hear yours because I have a couple of some things that we skipped out on who Kamala really is.
What do you mean? You want to hear mine?
No, your list.
Yeah, you're 1 through 4.
My 4. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I'm asking. What do you mean?
Can I add on
the
kids?
list that you just made?
Can I add one
Yeah.
perspective
Yeah,
on
go
kids?
for it.
You know, kids in military for me were like 3, 4. Like military could be number 4, kids can be number 3. I was a great uncle before I was a great dad. So I also would want to know their family and their involvement with their extended family, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, to me, this was
my list. That was my ranking right there.
This is for me. Anything that has to do with single and kids is first place for me. Tied the two, and I'll tell you why. I'll make the argument why. Single and kids, and by the way, kids meaning you could have it, but you chose not to. Mm-hmm. Okay, you could have it, but you chose not to. That's 1 and 2. The next one for me is probably going to be 80 years old because this job requires a lot of energy. And the last one for me is going to be military or not. It doesn't matter today as much as it did before. 40 years ago would have been a different list. Today it's this list. And let me tell you why it's single and kids. The reason why it's single and kids, assuming you can't have kids, is because right now, while I'm doing the podcast, like, you know how Adam is talking and all of a sudden you go to, I have unusual this afternoon. Do you have the notes ready? What question am I going to ask? What's going to be? Like, you know, for like a split second, you're lost from the podcast.
And then you come back. Yeah.
Like, just like somebody that's watching a podcast right now.
Or
you
for 10
cannot
minutes.
tell me for 100% of everything we talked about, you were with us.
No.
You're on a podcast, all of a sudden you get a text, oh, babe,
you missed
So we
a
lost
minute
you for
too.
like 48 seconds,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So for me, I'm on this podcast and I'm thinking about the conversation I had with Dylan this morning. I'm thinking about a conversation I had with Senna. I was thinking about Brooklyn, what she said to me this morning. And then I was thinking about my dad a lot on the podcast today. While we're doing the podcast, I'm thinking about my dad. And then I thought about my sister, and I thought about my mom because of some things I'm working with my mom right now. I went there, and I thought about the conversation with Jen yesterday. While we're doing the podcast, I went there for 18 seconds, and I came back.
Yeah.
I went somewhere for 12 seconds and came back, right? A person who's married with kids with other responsibilities is better for society than somebody that's single with no kids. You just are better for society. And I don't mean it from the standpoint of you're a bad person or not. You're just better for society because as much as someone's going to try to explain what it is to have kids, you won't know it until you have it. As much as someone's going to explain what it is to be married, you won't know it until you're married. The frustrating part, the good part, the bad part, all of it, right? So when you are there, you'll be able to make policy decisions in a way that are both personal to you from experience to understand and say, I became a better insurance salesperson when I had a family because I understood the value of life insurance when I had a family. Make sense? I understood small business owners better when I had to put my own money into starting an office and at least 3 years for $3,660 a month over a 3-year span. I'm like, I can't afford to pay something like this. I only got $20,000 in the bank. I understood the fear and anxiety of a business owner. The ring, when you put the ring and you say, I do, and I'm married, I'm like, oh shit, I'm officially married by the state and by the church. Now I got real responsibilities, right? So it changes. So that makes me uncomfortable. The thing about 80 years old was different because this is a lot of work. This requires a lot. You cannot be a 10-to-4 president, and you need the energy. Now, Trump is a very healthy 78-year-old today.
No drinking, no drugs.
No drinking, no drugs. But you also got to realize age goes like this.
Oh, for sure.
When it goes like this. Now, if I have to choose between Trump being over 80 and making better decisions, having a wife, Trump is so ambitious, he's had 3 wives. I mean, that's a pretty competitive guy, right? To be able to, he really understands what it is to be married, divorced, kids from 3 different women. I mean, he's got a lot of experience there, right?
He's unburdened by what has been. He is unburdened by what has been.
He's practically Mormon.
What has been.
What will be.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's go to the.
I just want to make one point because they're pushing and I apologize, Pat, I had to, because the left is pushing this, and you nailed it. This whole, you have to vote for her. She's black. They're riling up the black community. You know what Biden did with Charlemagne the God? If you have a problem deciding me or Trump, you ain't black.
Read that story. Read the story.
Well, Imre.
Here, let me set you up with this. I'll just read 3 the main titles, and then you go from there. So, guys, Daily Caller. Dem representative says Republicans who call Harris a DEI candidate actually mean the N-word. Rob, if you have this clip, just set this clip up. I'll read the next title, which is Joy Reid. We'll play this one as well, and where Joy Reid says black people will look weird if they don't back Harris. Let's first go to the first clip, Rob, and then go to that one. And then the last one I'll add here that said CNN host says GOP using veiled slur against people like Kamala Harris. Again, racial. Play this clip first. Go for it, Rob.
Ridiculous.
This is an organization, this is a right-wing campaign that's going to be racist, misogynistic against the vice president, but we're going to stand on the issues and what really matters. It's the fact that she is qualified. They want to call her a DEI president or DEI candidate. She has more experience than Trump and J.D. Vance combined times a million, right? She worked at the state level. She was the attorney general, the vice president of the United States. She was a senator representing one of the largest states in the entire country. And so these are just racist dog whistles. Whenever you hear DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. I want you to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
This guy?
Nobody.
Do you think Congressman Birch is being a racist when he says that?
Go to Joy Reid. Let's see which one's more ridiculous.
Just so you know, that is Maxwell Frost from Florida, Democrat, but he is the first millennial ever to be elected to Congress.
No wonder why.
Is this the guy, South Orlando, Orange County?
Yep. Oh, God.
Fantastic.
And Jim Acosta next to him, one of the biggest losers on the planet.
Just spheric.
Sorry, hold on. It's playing at double speed.
It's okay, Rob.
Okay, so
it's okay, Rob. You could do it.
Here's Joy Reid. The mushrooms.
She got rid of.
Here we go.
Stratospheric.
Big word.
Entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris into the presidential campaign, and she has now secured enough delegates to become the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color.
Oof. I'm brown.
But really, as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture, you're going to look real weird and real lonely.
I guarantee
on
I
that
know
side.
more about hip hop than you.
The door needs to close behind
I guarantee
Amber.
I know more R&B than you.
And she looked crazy over there.
Okay, you can pause it
But
right here.
shut the door behind her.
Listen, and
Okay,
she's
Vinny, go
failing.
for it.
Pat, she's failing, and guys, I hate to repeat myself. What can be unburdened by what has been. Okay, guys, so we get the playbook. They have to do this, okay? And we nailed. And Mike is one of my Mike's Jamaican. He goes, she's not African American. She's Indian and Jamaican. And by the way, just a little history report on how black Kamala is. Her great great grandfather Hamilton Brown was one of Jamaica's largest slave owner / traders. Okay, he had black slaves, if that's what you want to call it, and sold them. And her little history report, while AG of California, she incarcerated over 1,500 African Americans for minor drug charges and held them past their release date for free county labor. And Tom, I'm pretty sure
that's just the 1,500, my friend.
That's just the 15.
She used the 3 strikes law to decimate a whole generation of African American men.
Yeah. So that's how much she cares about that's your African American vote. And if you think about it,
That's
if you're
what she
getting
thinks
if you're
about
getting all that free labor from all these prisoners, the majority of them are African American, wouldn't you call that modern day slavery? So it runs in her family. If you understand what I'm saying? And listen, I'm just...
What do you mean her? Let's just go back to her grandfather, great-grandfather. The record's clear, isn't it?
The record's pretty clear. So, I mean, and listen, I just hope people stop falling for this democratic tactic of everything's about to be your rights. No. She's not only unlikable, look at her track record. Name one thing, and I'm being genuine. What has Kamala Harris done in her entire career that can come to your head, PBD?
That can come to my head?
Yeah. Name one thing that she's done.
Okay.
And listen, and not what can be unburdened, but what has been. I mean,
we have families that watch the podcast.
I apologize.
But I would say, what has she done? Well, look, I mean, you have to, regardless of what it is, for her to find a way to being a VP, whatever you say, there's credit there for being a candidate. Okay, it's not easy in any space to stick around until somebody makes you VP. But I want to read this to you. That's very interesting. Mm-hmm. The reason why the only other person that didn't endorse him, a guy named Barack Obama, which is the biggest heavyweight, he said the following. This is a story that's leaked. Again, this is not 100%, but it's a story that's leaked.
Allegedly.
Obama doesn't believe Kamala Harris can beat Trump, which is why he hasn't endorsed her. Sources say Barack Obama has not endorsed Kamala because he believes she can't win against Donald Trump, describing her as incompetent. It's like the scene from Rocky IV. You can't win! And incompetent, the border Cesar, who never visited the border and stating she cannot navigate the landmines that are ahead of her. Obama orchestrated Joe Biden's resignation following a disastrous performance against Trump in a televised debate, but was shocked when Biden endorsed Harris immediately. Obama had hoped for Arizona Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly, whose brother I've interviewed, to be a nominee. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, now supporting Trump, asserted that Biden's exit couldn't have happened without Obama, who he described as the conductor leading the orchestra to remove Biden. Blagojevich also accused Obama of running the Democratic Party like a Chicago ward boss. Tom, how much do you believe Obama not endorsing Kamala is because he doesn't believe Kamala can win against Trump, or how much of it do you believe Kamala wasn't his first-round draft pick and he would prefer somebody else?
I think, but make me choose between the two of them. I can't. I think both of those are in there. Obama's been very careful since the end of his natural presidency. And I say the end of his natural presidency because I think he's been very much behind the scenes and very influential as a, call it a statesman, call it an advisor, call it what you will. He has been active in the Biden presidency. And I think he's also been very careful publicly not to bet on the loser. When you watch the way things have been unfolding in Democrat side of the politics, Obama is kind of like the guy who's been allowed not to bet on the horse race till they come around the last corner. He's been very careful to keep himself betting on the winners. And I think right now, he's not going to show party disunity by walking out and saying, I don't think she can do it. But I believe what I hear is that maybe his first choice was somebody else. Maybe his first choice was something different. And I think...
You think Shapiro is his candidate?
I think that's very, very possible. They need Pennsylvania. They would need Shapiro. But I think if you pin Obama down, you just say, hey, Obama, Okay, so if not Kamala, then who? That's the big question that I would have. So I think it's both, Pat. I think he was behind the scenes. He doesn't want to pick a loser, but he had another choice in mind. I think by the way, I've got deep respect for Obama. I think he's got the best political instincts of anybody who's on the strategic side over there.
Let me ask you a question, Tom, and I'm being genuine because I've heard this. I know you guys have from people that we know and some people in the media.
Don't say names.
I'm not going to say any names. What are the chances, Tommy, come August, some polling numbers come out, she's going to be behind by a ridiculous amount of numbers, which I think is going to happen. Nobody knows who Josh Shapiro is. I think it's too limited amount of time to make this guy this big savior of the Democratic Party. What are the odds? The DNC is when?
August 15th.
August 15th. Where is it?
It's in Chicago.
It's in Chicago. What are the odds, Tom, that Barack Obama at that convention, I don't know what the rules are with this, basically has Michelle, who's been quiet right now, even though I know Adam said there's no way it was going to be Biden. It's not Biden, it's her. He's not backing her. How much of a play is Michelle to be the savior? And, she'll have the backing and she'll have the votes and give Trump the best competition to beat Trump, I think, is going to be Michelle.
I think it's a valid speculative option. To me, it's not 0, but it's not 99. But when I say it's not 0, I don't throw the option away. I think that's a very real option that can be on the table. And I think what we also have to keep in mind is something that, a lot of people said it, including Roger Stone on this podcast, said, look, once you do what we just saw, how they spun it, Indian American? No, the first black woman nominated vice president. Once you put that moniker and that identity around her, now you have to be part of the people that say, Kamala, you can't win, so you're not going to be the nominee. You have to be the ones that say no. And remember, Roger Stone and a lot of others have said they can't do that. She is the vice president. If he has a stroke and passes tomorrow, I don't hope that happens. But if it does happen to an elderly president, she's president.
Yeah.
She's president. She's vice president. So she's a heartbeat from the presidency, as they say right now. So, and once you've put that identity around you, who wants to walk up to the microphone and said, okay, me and all these other 60 people here that run the DNC and our delegates, Debbie Wasserman, good to see you today. How are you doing? Yeah, we're saying that we're not behind the woman who's black.
Let me go to Adam because we got 3 more minutes before we wrap up.
But I only went a quarter as far as Adam.
What's the question exactly here?
What is the question? What topic?
We were talking about Kamala. We're talking about Joy Reid. We're talking about DEI. We're talking about
the idea of them using skin color as, hey, you can't say this or else this.
Well, look, this is one of the reasons that I'm just so disenfranchised with the Democratic Party, because this is not the Democratic Party that it used to be. It used to be the party of working man. Hey, everyone get a leg up in society, not trickle down economics. Now it's just identity politics. It's wokeism. It's DEI. It's been hijacked by the progressive left. And that's the reason why you have moderates like the Joe Manchins of the world who are like, dude, I can't even do this anymore. What the hell's happening right here? The progressive left female intersectional decolonialization crew, they're taking over the party, and then they're just anointing Kamala Harris with the DEI. It is a DEI pick. Sorry, nobody voted for Kamala. By the way, when she ran for president in 2020, it was Biden, it was Bernie, it was Amy Klobuchar, it was Cory Booker. Dude, she was like in 9th, 10th place in the Democratic Party. Stop it. Nobody voted for this woman.
After being demolished and stepping out after Tulsi tore down.
It's sort of laughable. They're like, yeah, this is the candidate right now. Yes, it is a lot easier to move the money, the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that are in the war chest that Biden has already raised, and move that over to Kamala. But I don't see anybody coming into the convention and basically trying to take the mantle away from her. By the way, Obama knows a thing or two, because you know what Obama's presidential approval rating was during his term?
What?
About 49%.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
By the way, I mean, he was hovering around 50. Didn't hit 50 as far as the average. His highest percentage, I think, was 69% when he came into office, then it went down. Joe Biden's approval rating was 50% when he came into office.
Shocking.
Now it's 38%. Kamala's approval ratings have not deviated. It's just 38% across the board. Ain't nobody want this woman. Now, to the identity politic thing, think about where the Democratic Party has gone. It's gone from JFK saying, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. MLK, to be judged not by the color of your skin, by the content of your character. Now the Democratic Party is, if you're black and you don't vote for Kamala, well, you're not going to be accepted by the culture. That's Joy Reid's thing right there.
And let me wrap up, guys. This is the last thought, and we're going to wrap up. If you believe the future looks bright and you don't want to be part of the community that's helpless, thinking nobody can help you, and you want to find a way to be around others who have big dreams in their lives that can give you better feedback and strategies that you can take your life to the next level, do not miss this year's Vault Conference. It's going to be at Palm Beach Convention Center. Everybody here will be there, as well as nearly 10,000 other people from around the world in 180 different industries with myself, Dwayne Johnson. This is the first time he and I are doing a live 90-minute interview. Some of you guys may even get a chance to ask him a question. Some the people that are competing on the Minnect side will get a chance to go in the back and actually meet him and take a picture with them. But it's 3 days. Case studies. Last year, we had 500 husband and wives come to the event together. This year, we're expecting 1,500 husband and wives. There's a client that we were with at the Yankees who owned 18 McDonald's. He's bringing himself and 3 of his kids. And this is a young couple in their late 30s, early 40s. They're bringing their 3 kids. Last year, they brought 2. This year, they're bringing 3 of their kids. And I think they got 4 or 5 kids. They're bringing 3 of them. This is the event that every entrepreneur, business owner, and somebody that wants to recreate themselves goes to, because things of way of competing today is not the same as it was 2 years ago, not the same as it was 5 years ago. Strategies are different today than it was 5, 10 years ago. If you want that to be the beginning of the greatest years of your life, get yourself a ticket for you, your wife, your family. There's 5 tiers of tickets. Top 3 are sold out. No more CEO, no more founder, no more executive. Only Platinum and General left. Get registered before they sell out. Let's spend 3 days to get at Palm Beach Convention Center. Rob, can you put a QR code or where to go to? You can go to thevaultconference.com, or you can simply go to this QR code to get your ticket. Rob, I know you got it to go to it. We showed it earlier as well to go to it. So, okay, make sure you go out there and register for that. We'll see you guys at Palm Beach Convention Center. Today's what? Today's Tuesday? Today's Thursday?
Thursday.
Are we doing a podcast later on today or tomorrow? We're doing maybe something will be released tomorrow. Stay tuned, guys. God bless. Bye-bye, bye-bye.